wanna keep your head disappointed, 'cause you never see me. I'm better than you think of you. You're not very simple, you. Hold me to the waist, baby, touch me on my skin, will you love me? Let me be something that you never imagined. Hold me to the waist, baby, touch me on my skin, will you love me? Something that you never imagined, imagined. time. I'm free. Oh, and I'm loving all that you do. Can't you see? And I'm crashing right into you. Felt so alive in my life, 'cause you make me come to life every time. I'm free. Oh, and I'm loving all that you do. Can't you see? And I'm crashing right into you.
Cannot show the leaves how to change or tell the plants to grow. And I'll never know why my heart chose you to fall for. So give me a reason and I'll pretend I'm in control. Just like the seasons, you're taking the time from me, but no, I don't believe it. This ain't how I thought things would go. Maybe we should leave this and go back. You cannot show the leaves how to change or tell the plants to grow. And I'll never know why my heart chose you to fall for. So give me a reason and I'll pretend I'm in control. Just like the seasons, you're taking the time from me, but no, I don't believe it. This ain't how I thought things would go. Maybe we should leave this and go back. You cannot show the leaves how to change or tell the plants to grow. And I'll never know why my heart chose you to fall for. So give me a reason and I'll pretend I'm in control. Just like the seasons, you're taking the time from me, but no, I don't believe it. This ain't how I thought things would go. Maybe we should leave this and go back. You cannot show the leaves how to change or tell the plants to grow. And I'll never know why my heart chose you to fall for. So give me a reason and I'll pretend I'm in control. Just like the seasons, you're taking the time from me, but no, I don't believe it. This ain't how I thought things would go. Maybe we should leave this and go back.
This is war. Lead, follow, or get out of the way. I'll show you who's boss. The world is now a real-time battlefield. Join the global battlefield. Summoner's War, Lost Centuria. Download now. This is war. Lead, follow, or get out of the way. I'll show you who's boss. The world is now a real-time battlefield. Join the global battlefield. Summoner's War, Lost Centuria. Download now.
road to SWC 2021 continues here in the APAC preliminaries as we return with day 2 of Group C. My name is Trobra, joined by Peter, and we had a explosive start yesterday to Group C. I mean, so much variety, pretty much every match, every game being different from one player to the next.
Yeah, we have had a lot of different units coming out. Some units surprisingly doing better than expected, and some doing even worse.
Yeah, we've seen a bit of a shift in some of the monsters, and of course, just as a quick reminder to everyone at home, due to COVID-19, all the matches are being held online. So while we are here in the studio, you can tell we're already taking our precautions as well. And also on the side of, sportsmanlike conduct and all fair play, we have precautions in place for that as well. So we already started off Group C, as we mentioned earlier. We had one player moving on to the APAC Cup, but 7 still remain. And Peter, I mean, we saw so much variety yesterday. I wonder if we're going to see players continue to switch it up today into day 2.
I mean, definitely it should be a good idea, especially if you haven't had a great performance yesterday. For instance, we're going to have Henry versus Kelvin coming up, and both players have failed to make a marking for their names this year.
Yeah, so if you got out in the first round, obviously you still have a gauntlet today. You're going to want to have a bit of a deep book in terms of kind of your plays, your comps, and what else you might have. And one thing that really stuck with me yesterday was we also just saw a lot of mind games being played in the draft, right? A lot of changes from one match to the next as they're trying to figure out the meta here in Group C. But ladies and gentlemen, this is all for SWC 2021. This is the road to the World Finals, Peter.
The road is here, and it's now or never. Americas, Europe, Asia Pacific, China. We have everyone all over the world.
Yeah, we've got, of course, all the preliminaries happening throughout. We've still got another week here for APAC. As you can tell, we're currently on Group C. Today, we'll figure out who the second player from Group C will be that goes to the APAC Cup. Then next week, we'll have Group D. And then, of course, there's the Regional Cups, and then all going towards the World Finals. Nothing different here in terms of the rules and how everything happens. SWC mode, of course. But in case you've been living under a rock, we do have best of 5s already here in the preliminary. So we have the best of 5s right at the end for each decider match in the upper and lower bracket. And then the APAC Cup, more best of 5s as well. Here's a bracket from yesterday, Peter.
Frank, he showed us why Nikki is such a powerful unit, brings so much utility in that attack buff.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit yesterday, saying, all right, MR.CHUNG, he's coming out strong. He beat G.Diego again in that rematch as the defending world champion. What's going to stop him? It looks like it was Frank's Nikki. Frank winning 3-1, securing his spot. And now we have 7 players left. And, of course, MR.CHUNG, they're waiting in the losers finals as that kind of final boss to try to secure the second spot for Group C.
Quite a storyline for each of these players. In the top bracket, there were players that are more trying to redeem themselves today for their more lackluster performance yesterday. Where on the bottom side, we have a lot of players specifically looking for some blood on MR.CHUNG.
Yeah, we have a lot of players that are really, it seems, more here for revenge more than anything. Of course, they want to prove themselves as well. Kind of these storied players on one side of the bracket, and then players that are mostly new challengers on the other half of Group C, who are trying to make a name for themselves, as you mentioned, Peter, trying to just go as far as possible here in their first SWC appearance.
Speaking of, especially G.Diego, he mentioned in the interview that he wants to actually win the whole SWC this year because he was that close last year. He went down only to the defending world champion, MR.CHUNG, and I just can't wait to see how, for instance, Freeian, how do you beat this guy? He's already posing. He's like looking so confident. What kind of plans do you have?
Yeah, I mean, you have a bit of a mountain to climb if you're going to have to face G.Diego kicking off things here for day 2. But that match will have to wait just a bit as we are going to start with Henry versus Kelvin. You brought this match up earlier, Peter, and both of these players, I mean, they had a bit of a tough loss. Sure, Henry, it was to Frank, who ended up moving on as that first seed in the group, but still wasn't able to secure wins enough to move on in the winner's bracket yesterday.
Henry is one of the few players here who really love his Nephthys unit that haven't seen a stellar win rate yesterday. It was sitting at about 45%, and today it seems like it's gone down even to 41, so he's got to step it up with that Nephthys.
Yeah, the Nephthys not as successful. I mean, generally we always talk about it being one of the stronger monsters, of course, on paper, having a lot of usage. but wasn't able to really execute it yesterday for Henry. We'll see if he can change things up today. On the other side, it is Kelvin, who was the first one to go down 0-2 yesterday. We started the day off with 1-2s, and Kelvin wasn't even able to take a single set against YODAYO. Of course, being surprised by that wind sniper in his first game yesterday, taking that first loss.
It was definitely a bit of an unconventional way that Kelvin went down. I'm sure that he is fired up more than ever. He wants to make sure that today he comes in and shows us what he's capable of.
Yeah, I like you said, I don't think he really got even a chance yesterday, right? He was kind of taken aback by the carbine showing up. He wasn't really ready for that one, and then going into set 2, I think maybe a little bit shaken up. He still wasn't able to get a win to bring things back. So Kelvin here to just even prove himself, try to get one win and try to stay alive here in SWC. On the other side, Henry trying to run it back after his loss against Frank yesterday on day 1 of Group C of the APAC preliminaries. This is a best of 3. Whoever loses in this whole match will be eliminated from SWC 2021 moving forward.
We have Henry to the left, Kelvin to the right. We are looking at pre-bans coming in. Nephthys, it is going to be a wonder. Will she get pre-banned, or will they try to contest around the pick?
Yeah, we'll have to see. Okay, the Nephthys ban is going to come out. You mentioned that it was a big one for Henry. Kelvin correctly identifying that. It gets banned out. And then the Gianna. Gianna is currently now the most pre-banned monster here in the APAC preliminaries, overtaking Ragdoll, as we haven't really seen Ragdoll banned at all here in Group C.
Right, so Ragdoll, before Group C, he was always sitting at the top of the list when it came to pre-bans. But so far, here in Group C today, he has been given the free reins, and we see him again.
Yeah, we finally see him. He's been making it through, hasn't made an appearance yet in Group C, but here he is for Kelvin. Gets picked up right away alongside the Lulu. Of course, the Okeanos has continued to be a staple all throughout the APAC preliminaries, but especially here in Group C.
You know, I'm reading through their profiles right now, and they both said that they prefer using Nephthys, so I am seeing a lot of similar playstyles between them, but of course, for now, we are seeing a more of a first-turn control out of Henry. He's got the damage lockdown from Sierra. As we see the Chungpong win rate, it is at a bit of a positive side of a win rate.
Yeah, it's sitting a little bit on the positive side, still a bit teetering on that halfway mark, but Chungpong, another one of those monsters that always just provides at least the base value, whether you win or lose. Now on the side of Kelvin. Kelvin continues to switch things up a little bit here, kicking things off in day 2. We've got the Molly, and then we've got the Artemiel as well.
Artemiel Ragdoll, this is a very well-known combo. It used to dominate many team comps back in the good old days. These days, though, there are a lot of ways to work around this, such as the Onimushas. Because they don't crit, of course, that's why we should be seeing that Kaki.
Yeah, there you go. The Kaki being picked up right as you were talking about the Onimushas. The Fire one is going to be locked in for Henry. And then we're going to see the Juno as that last pick for Kelvin. Now, both sides considering their bans, they really want to get this first lead in this best of 3.
This Juno pick was specifically targeting the Fran, so obviously Fran is not going to get banned out, because Juno's only role, you can say, is to make sure Fran doesn't get skill 3 off uncontested. But of course now Juno gets banned and Kaki on the other side.
Okay, so yeah, a little bit of mind games back and forth. Left the Fran open, but the Juno does get banned. Kaki, as you mentioned, being kind of that counter pick, also gets banned out as well. We'll see who comes out on top as we have Henry kicking this off in this best of 3.
If we take a look at Kelvin's lineup, it's basically a team comp that revolves completely around Artemiel Ragdoll and 2 other support units that are trying to sustain them. So the damage from this Sierra with the attack buff would be crucial to take a look at. Of course, there's no immunity from Lulu because she has cleansed debuffs. And now, this could mean that Sierra has a perfect window, a chance to try to snipe.
Okay, well, all eyes on Sierra then. Let's see what she can do as she gets her turn here for Henry.
She's got to land the bomb. He's thinking of a target. Artemiel would be the easier one to take out because he has higher defense, but he goes for the Ragdoll instead. And the opponent has a lot of cleanses, and he decides, well, I'm just going to keep it on for now, and I will detonate a bit later.
Yep, he does get the bomb there, so he's just going to let it sit for a little bit, go for the detonation after. Now, Sierra does get stunned right there.
The stuns are piling.
Oh, man.
That is a lot.
Onto the Chungpong as well, perhaps.
Oh. That
wow.
is an unfortunate proc out of the Ragdoll. To be honest, I am very questioning the choice of not detonating the bomb, but the violent proc just kicked in for him.
Yeah, the bomb just does it for himself. and then the Ragdoll is now out. Of course, Oki finished that job earlier, so now a monster advantage for Henry, 4v3.
I must say, the advantage has swung heavily for Henry at this point, even without the bombs connecting. At this point, Artemiel's the only one trying to kill the whole entire world, but how can he kill anything when there's a Freeian?
Yeah, we saw Artemiel also struggle a little bit yesterday. This time he's got the sustain next to him, but as you mentioned, Freeian on the other side as well. So things are looking a little tough. Henry seems to have a bit more freedom on how he wants to continue this as Freeian continues the protection for the entire team.
Kelvin's winning condition is taking out the Sierra and relying on Artemiel to solo. But you look at the stuns, they are just buying so much time for Sierra. And as soon as a Fate of Disruption comes out, that could be a dead Artemiel.
Yep, just biding for that window. Currently just trying to keep the Lulu down as much as possible. The Sierra will get a chance right here, looking for a target.
And it is Artemiel. She lands it. He should be going for the detonate, please do. I don't approve.
Oh, okay, Peter doesn't approve, but Henry says, you know what, I'm still just gonna stick with it. We're just gonna run the clock down a little bit.
You know what? Whatever, fine. You do whatever you want.
It works out at the end of the day. Of course, as you mentioned, I mean, Peter, you were calling out kind of the risk there, but it does pay off for Henry. He's able to get a second bomb, detonates both. So while a bit of a high risk perhaps, Henry's still able to come out on top and gets the first win in this best of 3.
The biggest turning point of that match was Ragdoll. Had he not Violent Proc, he wouldn't have gotten detonation from the bomb, and he would have had cleanse available from both Molly and Lulu. The thing is, Henry, he knew that his O-Counts has reset. That's why he didn't detonate. But there were 2 cleansers, so that was a misplay, but Henry didn't get, punished for it.
Yeah, Henry gets away scot-free with that one. The bomb's still able to go off. Thanks to Ragdoll himself, in fact, trying to take another turn for himself. Got a little greedy there and pays for it. But of course, Henry might have to reconsider kind of how he's playing around those bombs if he wants to continue the same type of composition this time around. Let's see how things change up. The Nephthys continues to be banned. As you mentioned, both players prefer that monster. So Henry says, well, this time I'll take it out of the game. And then the Water Ryu being banned out by Kelvin.
Water Ryu, this is a unit that has seen great performance yesterday, has definitely left his mark on the day of Group C, and of course now we're going to be seeing Chung Peng first picked. He is always usually on the more consistent side. Ganymede Okeanos, the trusty combo for Henry.
The Gany Oki returns once again. We saw it so often yesterday. We saw it so often during Group B of the APAC preliminaries as well. We'll see if he's able to pop off with that combo that we've seen time and time again. Kelvin answers with the Chiyu, and then the Gianna this time being available, he's able to secure it for himself.
2 very strong strippers for Henry. The last 2 picks on the side of Henry can be AoE, can be single target. He can diversify his team comp like that. And of course, Gianna, she did tank a bit on the win rate, went down from 70% to 65, but 65 is still really nice.
Yeah, the fact that she tanked it, but it's still at 65 just speaks miles about her strength as a monster. And, ooh, we did see Poseidon yesterday have some success, of course, in a very specific composition. Wow.
Speaking of monsters, we are seeing a diverse unit coming out, Jamier and Poseidon. Poseidon, we've seen this guy put out much great work yesterday. He's got fantastic damage. He cannot glance on his skill 3, so he's pretty much always going to be landing. Jamier is here for the full team refresh. And keep in mind, Jamier is also used many times as a counter to Ganymede because you cannot reset Jamier's skill 3.
Yeah, so Jamier being locked in there as a Steve. We've been talking about this, Peter. You've been hyping up the Fire Strikers, the Fire Ryus, and we're starting to see them more and more. Douglas returns once again here in Group C of the APAC preliminaries, this time for Henry. The bans come out right away, and we are jumping right into Game 2 as Henry leads 1-0.
It feels to me that the only way this Douglas will be taken down by Kelvin is through Gianna bombs, but there is Lulu there for the cleanse. And of course, we see the result of the match so far. Gianna going for the bomb, and she's going to try to stun the Douglas.
Yep, and does get the stun onto the Douglas. The bomb, of course, onto the Lulu prior, trying to keep that sustain down as well. Kelvin still has to keep up the pressure. As you mentioned, he only has a couple windows here.
Looking for the Jamier refresh. So now Kelvin does have every single skill available, but that was his only form of cleanse used. Now Okeanos with the 4-man stun, he's just going to be able to seal in a big advantage over for Henry.
Yeah, huge stun, making sure that it skips over 3 monsters so far. Jamar's still stunned as well, but Jamar is able to secure another turn and is back in the battle.
He's got some damage onto Lulu, but you see Okeanos, he's constantly using Rain of Stones thanks to Gandy's Ventilate. At this point, Gianna, you got to strike back. He's going for the bomb on the Lulu to play it safe. But I question that because how are you going to take out Douglas if you don't start bombing him now?
Yeah, you called out that Gianna was probably the one monster to really target this Douglas at the beginning of the game. Sure, locking down the Lulu sounds great and it's always very helpful, but is that really going to pay off in the long run? We'll have to wait and see because things are starting to look a little low for Kelvin.
The attack power is up by 10%. There is the uppercut from Douglas, and the Gianna bombs have paid off this time. Lulu, she killed herself due to her own violent proc, and now Ganny Oki looking to grab some of that control back for Henry.
Yeah, a lot of damage now down onto the Gianna as well. Jamar still stunned as well with a sliver left, so things are looking a little dicey. Peter, you mentioned the Douglas might be free to rain, and it's looking that way so far for Henry.
We see Okeanos, he is very low on HP, so we are definitely keeping all of our attention on Douglas now.
Okay, well, Douglas finishes the job onto the Gianna, and Okeanos also able to finish off the job with the AoE against the Jamire. Now 3 versus 2, Oki about to get knocked out, but he's gonna get another chance with the Rain of Stones.
Well. Cancel the Douglas showcase. The Ganny Oki was more than enough for Henry to take that victory.
Henry able to take a swift 2-0. He had the Douglas for insurance, but the Ganny Oki, the true tried combo, strikes once again, and he's able to take the victory even in the second game against Kelvin.
In this specific match, Henry, by banning Poseidon, he has made the Jamire pick so much weaker because now it was lacking synergy, and the skill 3 out of Jamire had little to no impact, and I feel like that was one of the most crucial parts, the reason why Kelvin got taken out so easily.
Yeah, Kelvin perhaps making a little bit too transparent what his game plan was. It gets picked apart in the draft phase with the bans, and he's not able to strike back. So unfortunately, that means Kelvin is eliminated now from the APAC preliminaries. Of course, for Henry, he gets this victory, but he has a long bracket ahead of him today if he wants to try to move on to the APAC Cup.
It feels to me that Ganny Oki right now is such a strong combo that even though you have these extra backups in Douglas, you don't even need them. Like in this first match, as we see, some of that more Okeanos control. Of course, the Sierra Bomb helped out so much with taking out Ragdoll early.
Yeah, the bomb landing, and even though he doesn't detonate right away, it's able to get off scot-free. And then, as you mentioned, the Okeanos control also doing so much work. The double bomb detonation later, and then now we return to the Oki-Ganny combo.
Again, Tiwu and Gianna, they are a bit anti-synergetic. That is the problem when you pick them together. As we see, Gianna was not able to lock down much stuns, and once that happened, Okeanos was able to get as many stuns as he wants.
Yep, and Okeanos does get the job done indeed. You called it. The Douglas would have still been there to finish the job if needed, but it wasn't even necessary as Henry takes a 2-0 victory, and he will be moving on in the losers bracket here in Group C of the APAC preliminaries. We'll return to his match a little bit later in the day to see how far he can continue in this bracket. But of course, we have other players still now looking for their second chance here in Group C, trying to move on to the APAC Cup.
You know what's funny to me, Chobra, is that we always talk about Ragdoll as such a strong unit, but in this matchup between Henry and Kelvin, we saw Sierra, just one unit alone. You give her an attack buff, and she handles both Artemil and Ragdoll. Sierra, this is why she's so great.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because we kind of started the day off as, okay, well, we haven't seen the Ragdoll pre-ban. It's always been this kind of spotlight. But now we're starting to see, okay, well, there are some very clear answers. As long as you have the damage in hand, we'll see if that continues to be the case as we move on to more matches here in Group C of the APAC preliminaries for SWC 2021. Coming up, it's going to be Freeian looking for redemption after his 1-2 loss to MeowMeow.
Freeian, this is the guy that we were seeing a lot of Beelzebub action from yesterday. He tried to lock down MeowMeow's comp with the Beelzebub, but the Leo there was too much, the Tianlang there was too much, but this time his opponent may not have Tianlang, so how much power can this Beelzebub show us?
Yeah, I mean, Beelzebub, we've seen how much of a pain it can be, but clearly that also means as scary as it is, there's a very clear way to play around it. Freeian wasn't able to secure a match victory yesterday. See if he brings out the same strategy today. He's going to need some clever ideas because it's up against G.Diego. Of course, the world finalist last year at SWC 2020 had his rematch against Mr. Chung. Unfortunately, lost 1-2, trying to make that Josephine work yesterday.
G.Diego, this is definitely a player that does not want to be going out already in round 1. He has great hopes ahead of him. He wants to be going for the whole entire championship of SWC, and this is the first step where he's got to prove himself.
Like, he really needs to. I mean, to see him, if he falls here, it would be very, very unfortunate, right? You start off the preliminaries with the rematch of the World Finals, and then you get knocked down 1-2, and then if you're not able to stay alive in the loser's bracket, that would be a tragic story for G.Diego's run in SWC 2021. These players trying to stay alive here in Group C of the APAC preliminaries. Let's take a look at the draft for game number 1 in this best of 3.
We see Gianna being pre-banned, a very popular option for the pre-ban, and of course Lulu, surprisingly a very popular option as well.
Yeah, Lulu, of course, has just been terrorizing SWC 2021 so far. I mean, even if you're able to let it through, it's just such a pain. You have to try to focus at first. G.Diego going to go with that Mo Long first pick and a quick Ganioki response from Freeian on the left.
Ganioki, this is a very popular combo showing great results, but Mo Long is a pick that has shown a lot of usage by G.Diego. He loves that Panda Warrior, and of course he likes to pair it usually with a form of sustain like the Molly.
Yeah, and we're going to see that M-Bison as well for G.Diego. M-Bison has been doing a lot of good work, kind of similar in vein to Okeanos throughout the APAC preliminaries. We see more the Water Striker alongside Chung Peng now being locked in for Freeian. So very, very common monsters that we've seen so far here in SWC 2021.
The composition out of Freeian is definitely a sight that we have seen many times. It is one of the most popular variances of a CC comp. Now, the Akroma finally making an appearance for Diego today. That was one of his favorite monsters. Rika there, it also puts pressure now on Freeian because Ian doesn't have any cleansers.
Yeah, so Freeian's going to have to consider this pretty carefully. We've seen the Rika terrorize players before, just really be a nightmare for so many players so far here in the APAC preliminaries for SWC 2021. Looking at the Lighthouse, the Shushu and friends, and it's going to be locked in. Now there are the bans to consider, though.
You gotta expect your Shushu to get banned out. That is a no-brainer. And of course, Freeian, he bans out the Molly because that was the only sustain on the side of Diego. But now the problem is you have enabled both Rika and Fire Bison for Diego. If you cannot lock them out of the game with Oki, Chung Peng, Ganny, then you could be in for trouble. So we are keeping our eyes locked on to the accuracy coming out of Freeian.
Okay, Freeian, are you able to land what you need here in this first game of the best of 3 between you and G.Diego, looking to stay alive in Group C of the APAC preliminaries?
Only 2 strips, and Chung Peng tried to go for the strip on the Bison, but it didn't work. But of course, Okeanos, a 3rd chance, that is the charm. And now, both the units that we were most concerned about from Diego's side have been reset.
Okay, so finally able to get the strips that you needed Freeian. It took a couple tries, but he's able to make it work for now.
Rika, though, she does have a built-in additional turn to her skill 1, so that is still a scary aspect to look out for. Ganny, he can ventilate, but he chooses not to. Now, Akroma, he is prioritizing a lot of damage onto the Chung Peng.
Yeah, just trying to burst down that Chung Peng, and here comes the Rika.
That was the attempt for the sleep, but it did not land. Now the Bison is trying to buy whatever time he can with the provoke, and there is the reckless assault.
Yeah, just looking for the finisher, right? Of course, it damages yourself as well, but wanted to get that Chung Peng out of the way. Now down to a 3v3 between these two players.
Of course, when you do reckless assault, you do take the damage back. So now we are at 3v3 as you pointed out, Chobra. But of course now, when the Fire Bison is just a turn away from skill 3, you are a little bit scared. If you're Freeian, he's got that 2-turn silence, and now's the time for the Psycho Crusher.
And it goes through. Good damage and a lot of debuffs across the board here against the entire lineup of Freeian.
Stellar result for Diego, but now the problem is Akroma can take out Oki, but the Water Striker is very strong at doing a 1v3, especially given the elemental advantage right now. So the Water Striker is what we are keeping our eyes on.
That's a really good point you made, Peter. The attributes, we cannot ignore that right now as Akroma is able to finish off the Okeanos.
And the dots are being landed. That is a lot of dots on water. That's definitely what Diego wants to be seeing. Now, it is going to be a 3v2. Diego playing very smart, recognizing that he's got to take out some more. And this could be it.
Oh, he gets the damage done. Of course, we have the dots going, and now against the Ganymede as well. There, it should be the killing blow. And G.Diego will be able to secure the win in the first game of this best of 3.
Now that is what you call a classic turn 2 strategy. Diego, he's brought enough of just everything that he was able to turn it around. And what a clean performance.
Yeah, G.Diego, I mean, proving why he was able to get to the finals last year and continue just his stellar performances all throughout. And of course, now returning, sure, he had to meet his rival, so to speak, the rematch against Mr. Chung in the first round yesterday, but he's here to stay is what he's telling us as he takes a 1-0 lead. Now going into game number 2, match point for G.Diego, trying to move on in the losers bracket for Group C of the APAC preliminaries here in SWC 2021.
Now, the problem is, if you are Freeian, there's not really a single unit that you can ban from Diego's side that seems to make him a lot weaker. Of course, the Molong ban is going to help, but Diego has so many different strategies and units, so I am very curious to see what he's bringing into the second round.
Yeah, I mean, the Molong ban, it's every time we see it, it feels like one of those things where it's like, okay, well, it did so much damage, let's just get rid of it. But was that really the core of that composition? You got to really question that a little bit, especially when you're looking at a player like Diego, as you mentioned, Peter. So we'll see what the answer is from Freeian. He's going to start things off a little safe with the Sierra.
Sierra, definitely a pick that has shown some promising results. But of course, the Bison and Lulu has also shown many good performances, especially with the turn 2. But the Gianna is going to enable that turn 1 team and make it a lot stronger.
Yep, the Gianna alongside the Sierra and the Ganymede as well for Freeian. And now Diego, he's going to pick up the more for himself, and then the Chung Pung as well. So a little bit of a swap as we look at the win rate so far for the Water Striker and Water Rio, of course, interchangeable, sitting at a 52.8%, a little over halfway.
Definitely a consistent unit that Water Ryu is. Now, Freeian looking to finish off his lineup. Sierra, Gianna, and Gani. These three are a very common pair, and they are very strong. Now, the Chiwoo, I am a little bit concerned of the Chiwoo, but the Savannah coming out does mean that he will have at least that nice balance.
Yep, so the Savannah going to be able to round things out for Freeian. I know you've mentioned the Chiu pick always being a little bit conditional, and now look at that. Diego answers with the Leo for his last pick, and now there are some extra considerations for bans on both sides.
So if you're sitting as Freeian, that Leo pick means your Savannah will be useless if you let Leo through, so definitely you might want to be banning that out. But of course, if you ban Leo, you now have to deal with Lulu. And what Lulu does is if you're not able to lock out Diego in the first turn, she's going to heal everything to full HP.
Yeah, so still has to go with the Leo if he doesn't want one of his monsters to be completely nullified right off the bat. But we'll see, can Freeian lock things down enough right off the bat? His Gianna was banned by Diego. Diego leading 1-0, match point for him in this best of 3.
Now, the Moore will be able to cut. We got to see if the Moore is on Despair, because if he strips and stuns, that would have disrupted Ian's combo. Did not happen this time. There's Critical Link, setting up the Gani now for a full team attack bar reduction.
Yep, and he's going to go for it. He resets the attack bar on 3 of the monsters.
Oh!
And now,
That is very unfortunate because Bison has very short cooldowns. You see him grabbing that extra turn, and he's already got the skill 2 available, and that's going to be the follow-up into skill 3. So now Ian, he is sitting on an even reduced timer.
Yeah, you mentioned that there was a timer that you needed to lock them down, and the bomb not being able to secure those turns against the Bison going to hurt him a little bit. Now Chung Pung going off for Diego.
And now you have Lulu. She's going to provide immunity for the Bison. There's the skill 2. He's going to connect into those punches, grabbing that attack bar. And here is the Psycho Crusher.
Yeah, leads right into it, and he's doing damage across the board. Savannah now dismounted from her beast. Chung Pung gets another turn as well.
Here is the ever so lasting immunity out of Lulu. Ian, not really able to do much. He had the strip there. He's got the ventilate for Sierra for a bomb. But the thing is, even if he does that, He's got attack break on the Sierra. Things are looking so bad. The second skill will be enough to take out whatever Diego pleases.
Yeah, you called those low cooldowns on the M-Bison, and we're seeing it in action right now. He is just able to use his skills almost non-stop as he's continuing to secure extra turns as well throughout this game. And now it is all but over. Diego just looking for the finishing blows against this Ganymede. Will be able to take it down one hit at a time. There is the GG out, and Freeian will be taking that loss, which means Diego wins 2-0 to stay alive here in Group C of the APAC preliminaries.
This right here is what you call showing class, Chobra. Diego, he's used the same strategy twice, and it's worked out so great twice that we can almost say that Diego completely stopped Freeian. He has made Ian's strategy completely useless.
Yeah, he was just able to answer appropriately and also make sure he's not taking any risks that he doesn't need to, right? He's playing as clean as possible, exactly what you would expect from someone who was a world finalist last year in SWC 2020. G.Diego, his road to try to get revenge on Mr. Chung continues here once again in day 2 of Group C in the APAC preliminaries. Let's take a look at these highlights and just how clean G.Diego's play was.
So Freeian, he used his skills very nicely in the round 1. He reset basically everything that he wanted to. But the problem is, Fire Bison has short cooldowns. He gets the Crusher up in no time. Rika, she can also cycle through our cooldowns relatively fast, and that's what happens. You just get skill 3'd anyways.
Yeah, even though you didn't always see everything land from the Rika, as you mentioned, you're just able to cycle through those skills so often, and we see it here again, that M-Bison just popping off in Game 2.
And in this match, right, we saw Sierra miss the bomb, but all that bomb would have done is bought time for Ian, which is practically useless, because when you bring in that Chiwoo, your team is sitting on an expiration date. Your team is very vulnerable to these Team 2 comps, and that is why I don't like Chiwoo.
Okay, well, Diego is able to take that victory, kind of proving your point about the Chiwoo, Peter, and Diego will be able to move on here in the losers bracket in Group C of the APAC preliminaries for SWC 2021. Of course, many more matches to go. Diego also has to go basically through the whole gauntlet run today. He has a whole day ahead of him as he lost in round 1 yesterday. So next up, he will be facing YODAYO, while Henry from our earlier match will be moving on to face up against MeowMeow.
A lot of big names and big matches that are coming up today in day 2 of Group C. I can't wait to get into some of these matches, especially the Henry versus MeowMeow, because MeowMeow is from my guild and I am rooting on that guy.
Yeah, MeowMeow, we'll see how he's able to do. Of course, he took one win yesterday, but he was knocked down promptly afterwards. So we'll see if he can redeem himself against Henry. And then coming up after that, G.Diego versus YODAYO, two pretty esteemed players trying to see if they can continue here in the lower bracket, improve themselves, and get a chance to go meet up against Mr. Chung and see if they can knock him out of SWC 2021.
Yes, but before we get to Mr. Chung, of course, we have to be taking a look at the matches that will be coming first. For instance, MeowMeow. This player yesterday, he has utilized a lot of Tianlang. And now the question is, you know, when the opponent is always picking Tianlang, you cannot pick Diana anymore. So what do you do?
Well, we'll have to wait and see. When we come back, we continue on day 2 in Group C of the APAC preliminaries.
This is war. Lead, follow, or get out of the way. I'll show you who's boss. The world is now a real-time battlefield. Join the global battlefield. Summoner's War, Lost Centuria. Download now. This is war. Lead, follow, or get out of the way. I'll show you who's boss. The world is now a real-time battlefield. Join the global battlefield. Summoner's War, Lost Centuria. Download now.
Welcome back, everyone, to the APAC preliminaries for SWC 2021. We are on day 2 of Group C, continuing the losers bracket. Henry won his first match of the day, so he's able to stay alive here, and he moves on in the bracket to try to contend for that second seed to the APAC Cup.
Henry, this is the man that we are looking at. He has shown what a strong combo that Gyanioki really is. Douglas didn't even need to step in. He was just there to poke.
Yeah, Douglas just hanging out, waiting for his turn, doesn't even really get to show off his strength, as the Gyanioki was enough in that last game in the previous match. We'll see if he's able to continue that reign, as he is now going up against none other than MeowMeow.
What is a bit funny for Henry is that MeowMeow is another user of Nephthys, so Henry just constantly running into people that have his favorite unit.
Yeah, we had that kind of contention in the match earlier today where they were both pre-banning Nephthys back and forth. We'll see if that continues to be the case here against MeowMeow. Another one, of course, we need to pay attention to is that Tianlang being kind of the core for MeowMeow in every single game so far.
But it feels like the Artemil that he has last used, it is not doing so spectacular this season. I feel like every time we've seen Artemil, it has ended up being the 3 other units die next to Artemil. He tries to solo and it just never works.
That's true. Artemil always being kind of left alone and to his own devices, but he doesn't have much compared to a lot of these monsters that you're having to face up against right now in SWC 2021. So what does MeowMeow bring? He's seen what Henry can do earlier today. We'll find out as we go in to this best of 3 in the losers bracket. We are in Group C, going for that second seed to the APAC Cup, and right off the bat, there is that Nephthys ban, this time coming out from MeowMeow on the right. Henry on the left will be pre-banning that Gianna.
Very common pre-bans, and these were to be expected given the type of players we have here fighting right now in MeowMeow and Henry. Henry going for the Lulu first pick to get that consistency.
Yep, the Lulu. No surprises there. Always a familiar sight in that first pick slot. So Lulu will be locked in for Henry already, securing that sustain, the safety, and of course being able to go for a bit of a late game if need be. Now on the side of MeowMeow, already considering quite a few things it looks like right off the bat.
MeowMeow, I haven't really seen this guy try to go for a speed comp yet. He likes to go for more of the Tianlang mollies, but actually Sierra and Changpeng is going to be in the direction of the speed comp, 46.9%, however, for the Sierra's win rate.
Yeah, a bit lower than I would have imagined, but I guess we see her so often that it's kind of bound to bounce back and forth around that 50% mark. We'll see if MeowMeow is able to bump it up a bit further. Oh, wow.
You like, and I certainly like this too. Kaki is always a fun monster to have around. Molong is there to bring some more backup damage. Always so trusty with this Reckless Assault.
Yeah, and then of course with the Lulu as well, you have a bit more safety even for that Molong if you wanted to go for the Reckless Assault. So Henry already showing quite a bit of strength here with his composition on the side of MeowMeow, considering that Water Striker the more. And then the Poseidon making another appearance here in Group C of the APAC preliminaries.
You know, I'm starting to get to a point, Chobra, where I feel like I should stop being surprised by the Poseidon pick because this monster has proven himself again and again. When you let him through, he gets so much devastation done, especially with Maelstrom.
Yeah, the Poseidon, whenever we've seen it in action, it's been able to get a lot done. Of course, if it just gets banned out, we'll have to wait and see how that turns out for Henry. Is it going to be high contention? Henry going to wrap things up here with the Leo and then the Fran as well for some extra sustain and protection.
Leo, the bane of speed users. Of course, Leo's always a pain in the butt to be looking at in the draft. The Fran, however, I wouldn't say it's too concerning if you're MeowMeow. There are definitely a plethora of ways to deal with that unit. Of course, the last pick will help MeowMeow find some form of direction.
Yeah, MeowMeow looking for the last pick, runs down the clock, and he's going to pick up the Savannah at the end. So you gotta imagine the Leo is a high priority for the ban here.
I stand with you on that, Chobra. Leo's 1000% the ban if you are MeowMeow. That is what that Savannah pick means. So now, if you're Henry, you also know that your Leo's getting banned. So now you have to draft around that.
Okay, well, Henry, what is your consideration now that you have kind of this potential prediction on MeowMeow's bans? Lots of time being taken in this matchup. And in fact, it's going to be the Fran and then the Changpeng being banned out.
So we are seeing that MeowMeow is confident in his control in the damage through Sierra. He doesn't feel it's necessary to rely on Poseidon and Savannah for damage. Of course, Leo, he doesn't have any targets that he can reduce the attack bar of. He can only go for the poke or give the turn over to Moore.
Okay, well, we're just going to see a little bit of damage onto the Savannah.
And now Savannah just going to go for the gigantic roar. Of course, he cannot get the attack bar pushback given Leo's passive. Armor breaks were not connected as well. Sierra looking for the bomb now. This is a very important bomb. It is going to decide much of the course of this battle.
All right, Sierra goes for the Leo, and the bomb does land and detonates it right away.
Definitely a huge one, but the bomb did get resisted on the stun. So if the Leo gets a turn, he has Torrent available, and that could be an ignored defense.
Okay, so you have to watch out. Can you have a chance to take out this Leo? Doesn't look like it, the glancing hit. Now Sierra has another chance here.
Going for, looking for as well, the bomb here, but he really mainly wanted the dot on there to make sure that the Leo goes down. Very smart and safely played by MeowMeow.
Yeah, gets the dot, and then the damage to secure the dot will finish the job. So the Leo does eventually go down. Now that's one bruiser down. There's still two more on the side of Henry.
So now basically it is all down to Cocky. How much of a force can you bring back to your opponent? Mo Long, he's got Reckless Assault, but he doesn't have fantastic targets to take down. So Henry chooses to save it, and because he didn't land Armor Break on the first hit, Savannah is still standing.
Yep, and the Cocky, of course, did a lot of damage, but...
It's very scary.
Uh-oh.
The bomb, the Cocky.
Oh, okay. So we're going to see...
What? The bomb! No!
Oh, my gosh! Wow.
That is so unfortunate for Henry.
Oh,
His Cocky,
my.
it actually had a lot of HP, but it didn't matter because MeowMeow is going to lock his first victory against Henry.
I mean, you were pointing out step by step what had to happen, and MeowMeow was able to just calculate it through step by step, just go through that tutorial of turns that he needed, and he's able to secure that victory. And of course, the more able to kind of give him that boost towards the end and really secure the W.
A complete turnaround of strategy out of MeowMeow. He has gone for what he hasn't shown yet, and he shows here that he knows how to use these speed comps, utilizing that Sierra to absolute perfection.
Yeah, well done by MeowMeow. So Henry, perhaps scratching his head a little bit. You know, this isn't what we saw from MeowMeow before, and he's able to execute it quite well. So now, what do you change up? Well, the Neft is still going to have to be a pre-ban, so this time Henry will choose to ban her out, and now the Chung Peng being banned out by MeowMeow.
Definitely, you don't want to be seeing Chung Peng going over to the opponent. That unit can be very pesky to deal with. Now, MeowMeow, he could try to first pick the Lulu, which is what Henry did in the last match.
Yep, Lulu, I feel like always a safe pick, it sounds like, for a lot of these players. I think they also just feel, comfortable being able to pick that and then pivot around it. But MeowMeow continuing to spend a lot of time. I mean, he's really thinking things through and also just kind of drawing out the tension here in this draft in this best of 3.
Other popular options have been Sierra and Oki, but the Lulu is going to be here again as the first pick. So now, if you're Henry, you don't have Chung Peng, so you know that it's a lot harder now to be utilizing those speed comps. So what do you do against the Lulu?
Oh, Henry has to make some of those adjustments right now. You have to prove that you have what it takes to continue on, that you have the depth to continue on here in Group C of the APAC preliminaries. He's still going to go for the Ganny-Oki combo, tried and true.
Of course, when you go for the Ganny-Oki combo, MeowMeow is going to respond with the Fire Bison. As we see the Okean's win right now, this guy is very funny because his stats are always going up and down. Now it's up to 50.8%.
Yeah, we've definitely seen it traverse quite a bit throughout the preliminaries so far here in the APAC region for SWC 2021. We'll see if it's back on an upward trend after this game. And now we see the Qianlong return for MeowMeow.
MeowMeow going for basically his good old strategy that we know he can utilize very well. Fire Bison, he is sitting on a very, very sexy win rate.
Yeah, wow, over 55%, 56.9 in fact, 29 wins and 22 losses here for the Cardinal and Fire M Bison. Of course, the interchangeable monsters there. So MeowMeow happy with that pickup, and as you called it as well, Peter, always kind of a response to that Ganny-Oki combo. And now we're seeing Sierra now being picked up for Henry. Then we see the return of the Freeian as well.
So it seems to me that Henry, utilizing the fact that the Chung Peng got banned out in the pre-bans, now he is switching it up, going for Sierra Freeian. putting more emphasis on a single target damage, utilizing the attack buff out of Freeian. So it wouldn't be too surprising to see the last pick be Savannah, Cocky, or maybe something to ignore the defense of Artemil. The Rika is a very strong pick as always.
Yep, Rika going to round things out for MeowMeow. And the Artemil, we talked about it coming into this match. We haven't seen him to great success just yet. We'll see if his win rate can finally be boosted up just a bit here by MeowMeow, as of course MeowMeow sitting on match point in this best of 3. He wants to stay going forward here in this losers bracket in Group C of the APAC preliminaries. Henry trying to bring things back and take it to a Game 3 as he responds with his own Kokoro.
So Henry is basically saying, look, I am not too scared of your Rika and Bison because Animal's here with the trusty old cleanse, and it is on a relatively low cooldown. So it is going to be spammed, a very useful way to deal with the Rika. And of course now, the draft has changed quite a bit.
So the ban's now waiting, 5 seconds on the clock. MeowMeow and Henry, what will be the bans on both sides? MeowMeow wants to secure. He is going to ban out that Animal. It's just too much of a pain right now. And then the Lulu being banned out by Henry.
So one thing to keep in mind is that Lulu being banned out means there's no cleanse, but there is still sustain from the Artemil. Tian Lang is looking to strip away the Fran buffs and get some control for the Rika combo, but when the reset comes out, you no longer have that strip.
Yeah, so he's not going to be able to really flex that ability here for Tian Lang, having that advantage. Meanwhile, Ganny being able to go through his turn and get some control.
Henry having a fantastic start so far. Things are going how he wants. Now, there's only Artemil for the strip for the time being. But of course, Sierra, if she goes for the bomb, she is going to be exposed now with that immunity. Thinking about the Artemil, but it gets resisted!
We've seen so many bombs get resisted here in Group C of the APAC preliminaries, and it happens once again. Sierra not able to secure that bomb.
That is super huge because now Artemil is going to be around a lot longer than Henry wanted. And because Sierra's exposed, she's going to get armor broken by the Tian Lang, which is more than enough for the Fire Bison to use and try to take her down.
Yeah, and so you see all this focus onto the Sierra. And the Tian Lang goes for some extra damage as well. Rain of Stones does get the stuns across the board.
Yes, definitely a huge Rain of Stones coming out for Henry. Ganny with the Ventilate will be able to provide that extra Rain of Stones within the next turn. This means Sierra now has more time to try to get another Fate of Destruction.
Yep, Oki does have another turn, but of course 3 stuns still remaining, so just going to go for that spear and gets another turn as well.
Okeanos really trying to hard carry the match. This is your second chance, Sierra. Without the attack buff, it is not as strong. It's not too common that Rikas would die to that one bomb, so Henry decides, I'm going to detonate it later.
Yep, just going to leave that above the Rika's head right now. And now we see what is MeowMeow's response.
Why not the Okeanos though? Because you know that Okeanos has Rain of Stones. If you provoked the Okeanos instead, you could have avoided this onslaught of stuns.
You're right, and we saw that Ventilate come out earlier. You had that information, and now it's starting to really bite you back for MeowMeow.
Definitely a huge misplay from MeowMeow, and he is absolutely fighting for that. Sierra, once again, attack buff bomb. He has a chance, and it's going to miss again.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, doesn't get the bomb onto the Rika. Of course, the dot is there just as a little bit of a consolation prize. But another Rain of Stones now coming out from the Okeanos. Oki providing so much value for Henry this game, and that is going to be the GG out from MeowMeow as Henry brings it back to 1-1 scoreline in this best of 3.
Henry, once again, this guy, he definitely knows how to utilize the Ganny-Oki combo. He has completely decimated Kelvin before with this combo and showing that he can do the same thing right back to MeowMeow.
Yeah, so we're going to see Henry trying to bring it back, going for the comeback. Tied now 1-1. Is he able to really secure this comeback, or is MeowMeow going to adjust? And of course, I got to bring it up, Peter. Artemil continues to really plummet down that win rate hole. He's really not able to carry anything further for any of these players right now in Group C.
If we were to draw the win rate of Artemil on the graph, it would be a straight plummeting down, maybe a complete 180 degrees. Definitely not looking so good within the Group C of the APAC preliminaries. Now, of course, we return to the Neftis and Gianna pre-ban.
Yep, they're going to return from that first game. So Neftis still just continuing to prove that she is a high priority for both players once again. Ganymede being secured by Henry. He saw a lot of value out of that one. And then the Lulu and Fire and Bison still going to be the response from MeowMeow.
So MeowMeow definitely keeping true to his trusty old strategy. He knows the Lulu pick is very strong for him. Of course, Bison is always strong as well. But you can't help but think, Henry, this is the man that has utilized Ganyoki to so much success. If you give him a Chung Pong on top of that, how do you deal with the CC onslaught?
That is a good point. I mean, in that last game, we saw MeowMeow pre-banning that Chung Pong, of course, just to try to mitigate it a little bit. This time it's open. He has to know this. So surely MeowMeow has a plan that he's preparing to show us with the expectation that Henry's going to go for the same comp.
Molly Tianlang, a very faces that we are definitely used to seeing out of MeowMeow. Molly has only a single target cleanse, Tianlang offering none. So it is a little bit concerning for MeowMeow in the sense that he could get locked down by CC very heavily if the window opens for Henry.
Poseidon once again. Yeah, Poseidon's now becoming just as common as some of these other monsters here in Group C of the APAC preliminaries, on top of the Chiu for Henry as he's finished off his lineup so far.
In this draft, Chiu matters a lot. He brings a lot of utility to these units that Henry is putting up. So much AoE being focused down. So of course, if you're MeowMeow, what do you do? Do you bring in a cleanse? You bring in a Leo just to throw a, hey, you probably want to ban this, right?
Yeah, just gonna try to draw out that ban aggro from Henry. We'll see if Henry's going to bite. I mean, Leo, you have to consider just that passive alone really throws a wrench into everything you have planned. So it is going to be the ban, and then the Chung Pong does get banned out by MeowMeow.
So at this point, everything is on the line for the Oki, Gani, and Poseidon combo. They can't win from the round one alone because MeowMeow is so tanky. They need to maintain the CC throughout the whole game.
Yep, does get the strip with the Chiu right off the bat, and then the Maelstrom to kick things off right after, and now chaining it into the Okeanos Rain of Stones as well.
But of
does
course,
get 2 stuns.
The water,
yeah,
cannot be stunning water too consistently, but Okeanos looking for a reset now. Yanni also has a reset follow-up if needed. He is choosing his targets carefully, and he lands it on Lulu.
Yep, Lulu often a priority target for that spear, and then there's a ventilate this time onto Poseidon.
I love the ventilate on Poseidon. Poseidon's definitely huge with that skill 3, but of course the extra turn out of Lulu now, able to provide that immunity which Chiwu needs to strip.
Yep, and not gonna be able to get it.
Needed to strip, but it did not happen. So we were saying that Henry needed to keep up the CC throughout the whole game, but now at this point, we are looking at some interruption coming out of the Bison.
Yeah, Bison now looking menacingly across the board, and there's the Psycho Crusher.
Wow! 3-man stun, and there's attack speed slow all across the board, and of course, if he follows up with skill 2, he is only a turn away from the Crusher. Oh my gosh,
yeah, and he's able to just really push back the attack bar, get the provoke on the Gani as well. So much control single-handedly from this Bison.
So much things going the way for MeowMeow right now, but the silence does connect onto the Bison, so there will be one more turn of delay if Lulu cannot cleanse the debuff.
Yeah, so all eyes on Lulu, it looks like. Can they get the cleanse before the Bison's turn here?
Tianlang, 2-turn silence means he cannot go for the dragon stance. That's definitely what MeowMeow wanted, but now he's going to have to wait a bit more. Chiwu just trying to get some extra damage done, but at this point, Lulu is here with the cleanse, and this is available for the Bison, who has everything ready to go. Skill 3, skill 2, they're all locked and loaded.
Oh, decides to just top off the Tianlang. Just you could have finished the Poseidon just with one punch, so we're gonna go for that kill and wants to protect the Tianlang from here on out.
It didn't really matter too much whether you get that Bison skill 3 off now or later, because as you said, Chobra, there's so much sustain on the side of MeowMeow, and he's gonna be able to go for the Crusher anyways. And at this point, we can definitely say that Henry is most likely gonna lose.
Yeah, there's not really much of a window right now. You even got that extra stun onto Oki just to be sure, and that is going to be the victory for MeowMeow in Game 3. He wins 2-1 to move on in the loser's bracket here in Group C of the APAC preliminaries.
A very nice turnaround by MeowMeow. As soon as he was able to grab that turn on Lulu, providing immunity for Bison, that is where the onslaught of CC ended. But the problem was, if you are Henry, you can't have not expected that to happen. There is a decent amount of chance when your opponent takes turns again and again, they could get the violent proc and get the cleanse.
Yeah, you know, that one window's all he needed, and Henry had to have expected it, as you said, Peter. Maybe had some other plans to work around it, but unfortunately, it's not available. And Lulu and Bison pretty much single-handedly turning that game around for MeowMeow. He's able to take that victory and move on here in the APAC preliminaries.
So to break down Fire Bison a little more in depth, the reason I feel that Fire Bison is so strong in the meta right now is even if you reset the guy, he's going to get his turns back. A skill 2 gets him so much attack bar, and he has Psycho Crusher up anyways, and you cannot even kill him. He's got so much HP.
Yeah, just all around useful throughout the game. Well, let's take a look at some of these highlights in this best of 3, Peter. We're looking at game 1 here between these two players.
This is where there was so much good calculation out of MeowMeow. Going for that extra Fate of Destruction on Leo with the dot was able to seal the deal. And of course, match number 2, this is where we see, once again, the downfall of Artemiel.
Yeah, Artemiel not able to provide much value, and of course, just the Okeanos paired with the Ganymede able to be so oppressive against MeowMeow. But in game 3, MeowMeow's ready to answer back.
And this is what we talked about. When you have the Bison and you also pair it with 3 other very tanky units, sure, you got the CC, but you don't have the damage to take them out through the Molly sustain, the Lulu sustain. And at that point, you're asking for the opponent to eventually retaliate and take your whole team down in one sweep.
Yeah, it really sounds like Fire and Bison doesn't mind waiting around for that one window. After hearing you break it down, Peter, you just need to be able to get going once, and then you're able to cycle your turn, cycle your skills so often. So MeowMeow, off the back of that victory, will be staying alive here in the APAC preliminaries for SWC 2021. Meanwhile, that does mean that Henry has now been eliminated in his run for SWC.
Definitely, it is sad to see some of these players go because after all, today was the last chance for these players to prove themselves. This is where everything counts, and of course, the next matchup we are going to have soon. It is some 2 big names, YODAYO and G.Diego, both players looking to get a taste of that sweet revenge.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this matchup, right? As you just mentioned, they're both kind of storied players. They've both proven themselves time and time again before, and even so far in this preliminary, they've been able to show their hands just a little bit, flex their brain muscles just a little bit here in Group C of the APAC preliminary. So we'll see, one of them has to go home, and one of them will be able to continue here in the APAC preliminaries. And of course, the winner of that match now moving on to face off against MeowMeow. So MeowMeow is going to be watching this match very carefully, I'm sure, as well.
Yep, we're going to have a lot of great Summoners War action coming to you guys live. But first of all, we have to introduce you guys G.Diego.
G.Diego, of course, he had to go for that rematch of the finals from last year. Right off the bat, he takes the loss, but he comes back today strong and takes a 2-0 victory against Freeian.
We see G.Diego, and we know he's got a plethora of options for strategies. He has shown the Leo, the Water Striker, and so many different combos, even utilizing a Chroma.
Yeah, so G.Diego able to really adapt from game to game, from match to match. Now on the other side, we have YODAYO, who was the first player in this group to bring out that wind sniper yesterday and secure a quick victory. And then now he does eventually fall to Mr. Chung. So now he's been waiting for his revenge today in the loser's bracket.
You know, I have a feeling that YODAYO definitely went back to the VOD yesterday and watched his defeat to find out what he could have done better, but there really wasn't anything he could have done better except pray harder. So this time, YODAYO, he needs to land some of his debuffs.
Yeah, not able to really get any of that control yesterday was the downfall of YODAYO. We'll see how he responds. I mean, also, not much to go off of against G.Diego's plays yesterday. G.Diego trying to make the same composition work against Mr. Chung throughout his match. Wasn't able to secure it. So YODAYO's kind of scratching his head right now saying, what else do you have prepared? Well, we'll find out in this match. Best of 3 between these two players, both veterans here in the SWC. Which one will stay alive to move on in the loser's bracket?
Both players, they are coming in. We don't even know the full intention of what they're about to bring in today. We know they always like to bring in some crazy things. Diego, he tried to introduce Josephine yesterday, and because it didn't work against the CC very well, I'm sure he's going to have something new now to deal with CC.
Yeah, I can't imagine that we'll see the Josephine being prioritized again today. Surely we'll see some adaptation in this matchup. Mo Long, the first pick for Diego, and then the Cardinal and the Lulu. Again, no big surprise there.
Both players preferring right now to play more of the bruiser, the tanky matchup. Kaki is a perfect example of a tanky bruiser. Diego also thinking about pairing his team comp with a Chroma later, but that is one of my favorite units in the game. Mina potentially with the Daphnis. That is a lot of damage coming out. Mina gets swapped for Diana, however.
Unfortunate. I was getting excited as well, but we are going to see the Daphnis now show up here in Group C of the APAC preliminaries, and then going with a bit of a more boring frequent monster, Diana, here for YODAYO.
Diana, definitely a boring frequent monster, but Diego is now flexing back the Mina, which I love. I want to flex my Mina too because I absolutely love that unit. But Diego's not just a flexer, he is going to bring it into the match.
Yeah, he says, oh, you wanted to toy with this? Okay, well, I'll show you how it's done. Diego's going to lock in that Martial Cat, and then we see the Praha as well as the last pick.
This could be a win sniper angle. There's so much water on the side of Diego.
Oh boy.
I am seeing a potential carbine, but YODAYO preferably going for the Freeian instead, a more tanky version of that wind threat.
Yep, going for it. Still the wind attribute, as you mentioned. It would have been cool to see the sniper return, but no, it's going to be the Panda Warrior, and now the bans. Diana gets banned out against YODAYO. It's going to be Kaki banned out against G.Diego. This is a best of 3. It's the first game to see who will take the lead and have a chance to move on in the losers bracket in Group C of the APAC preliminaries.
Mina has a crazy base speed. The attack buff is there from the Fran, and the Mina's going to be looking for the 1-2-3 punch combo onto the Daphnis. Here we go. Chain attack. Boom, boom, and boom. You see that damage?
That damage is huge. Already below 50% onto that Cardinal.
I changed my mind about going for the Daphnis. I like this choice a lot more from Diego because Cardinal is a consistent threat, but the Daphnis has only one turn to do his skill 3. And on top of that, the Daphnis doesn't have attack buff, so this may not even get the kill.
Okay, well, here we go. Daphnis gets his turn finally for YODAYO. What can he do against G.Diego? So much water on this side as well.
The Hellfire onto the Molong to secure the kill before Fran can heal him up. It feels like a bit of a waste because that is such a huge nuke onto Molong that has so little HP. And now the problem is, once Daphnis uses Hellfire, he becomes a lot weaker. So it is all up to this Freeian at this point. If Mina dies, Diego could be left very vulnerable.
Yeah, Freeian, I mean, this is why he was brought in for YODAYO. He has to be the last line of defense and offense at the same time as Praha continues to try to wail at Lulu and friends. Mina does get healed back up, trying to do a lot of damage onto Daphnis.
That skill 2 out of Fran, buying the time that Mina needs. That was very crucial. Now, we see Mina. If you look at the attack bar, she's going to move again before the Freeian. She is so fast, and she should be able to lock down the kill onto Daphnis this time. Boom, bam, and he's down.
Okay, now Freeian, it's all up to you. We see Diego trying to finish off this game, but there is a giant Panda Warrior, the Wind Panda Warrior, standing in the way, trying to take out Lulu to make sure that the game doesn't go any longer than it needs to.
At this point, Lulu doesn't matter. It is all up to the Freeian. He is not able to get enough damage so far to take out the Mina, and of course that does mean Mina, with that additional turn, is going to be able to take out the Lulu. But here, at this point, Freeian has skill 2. It provides a revenge buff, which could be scary.
Okay, and there you go, Freeian just being prepared.
Wow! Getting the crit, but he did not get the stun. Diego, if he got the stun, that would have been huge. And Praha landing the strip is also huge.
Yep, Freeian just trying to strike back. There's the death break against that Praha as well, but now the dots are ticking, and the damage is starting to come through against Freeian.
Just look at the situation. The sleep is there at a perfect time. Freeian finally gets a taste of his own additional turn, but it is too late, and Mina gets in that punch right in.
Mina able to bring the victory for G.Diego. YODAYO kind of teased the monster. Diego snapped it up, and he proved that he can win with yet another different composition. A victory for the Water Martial Cat here in Game 1 of this best of 3.
You know what's funny about that Ranchobra is that Mina is supposed to be a rather squishy unit given her low base speed in regards to HP and defense. but Freeian just didn't have enough to take her out, and Mina just got to do so much damage right till the end.
Yeah, Freeian not able to really finish the job, and any time that it looked a little dicey, of course, Mina was getting healed right back up. The Lulu gets taken out first, so no sustain on the side of Freeian. So while he was the pick to try to combat these water monsters, he was not strong enough in that matchup. So YODAYO now has to consider even more now. You try to tease these different compositions and monsters, maybe bait some things out, maybe play some mind games, but Diego's not having any of it.
Diego definitely showing that he wants to be getting further and further in this SWC. He doesn't want to be taken down before he can fight against Mr. Chung for his third rematch.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, another rematch it would be for G.Diego. So Diego looks poised to try to move forward. He is now on match point, leading 1-0 in the losers bracket in this best of 3 for the APAC preliminaries. YODAYO this time going to snap up the Molong for himself.
Taking a page out of Diego's book, takes the Molong first pick for himself instead. And of course, Diego just going to respond comfortably with the Lulu and the Fire Bison. This is a very strong team too, a turn 2 team, and Gianna Gani is there to provide some bit of a diversity for YODAYO as we see another Daphnis.
Daphnis now being traded out for Diego. Diego maybe just teasing YODAYO a little bit, saying, all right, well, I'll take it this time. We'll see how I can make it work. Of course, a little bit of a different composition overall. Of course, the Sierra there as well for Diego.
It feels like Diego is almost making fun of YODAYO, taking his units every time. But of course, now YODAYO striking back with some of that Gani Hathor combo. You can't help but get flashbacks to yesterday where Mr. Chung, aka Mr. Sleep, was able to keep Diego locked down the whole entire match.
Yeah, that was painful to watch. I mean, Diego just not having a chance to move at all, as Diego continuing to juggle more monsters into his composition.
I mean, if you bring in a Chloe, the Gianna is very scary. But at the same time, if you ban Gianna, can you really deal with Gani Hathor? It's all up to Diego's runes. How fast are these units? And I'm sure Diego's got a plan in his mind. It's got to be either the ban onto Gianna or Gani.
Okay, well, it's going to be that Gianna ban that you first mentioned, and then the Daphnis being banned out against Diego. So the bans are complete. And now we see that speed leader being set for Diego as well. Can he make it happen? Diego on match point in this best of 3.
Chloe with the spectacular base speed is going to be able to secure that turn 1 for Diego, providing Fnatic 3-turn immunity. Hathor, of course, he has a chance to look for a strip.
Okay, gets it, and the sleep onto the Lulu as well. Now Sierra, not too many options here.
Even if she goes for the bomb, it's not going to be enough to kill, and Fran is there to heal Hathor back up. And Diego, recognizing that, saves the bomb instead. Very smart, because now Sierra can stay in immunity longer.
Yep, and now Sierra stays in immunity a bit longer, and Bison goes for the Cycle Crusher, doesn't get too much done.
And he's stunned, but attack speed slow is very good as well. And of course, when you see that skill 2 coming out of the Bison, you know he's cycling through them cooldowns, so we should be seeing another Cycle Crusher soon.
All right, and now the sustain coming back out for YODAYO as well. Both players trying to look for this window as there's so much immunity, so much protection and sustain on both sides.
Yeah, looking to stay in that immunity as long as possible before the Gani Hathor combo comes out. Of course, there is Lulu here now as well. She is looking to get skill 3 off, but it is not available. And now, if you're Gaia, you can't help but wonder, can I deal with what's about to come from Gani Hathor?
Yeah, Diego, you mentioned that that timer is now run out for that immunity, and now Hathor looking for the delayed promise.
She gets everyone, and now at this point, all Diego needs to do... Sorry, I meant YODAYO is the one using Gani Hathor. Diego's the one with the immunity, so now YODAYO needs to try to lock down the Chloe.
Yep, and now the immunity's run out as well, so another delayed promise just to try to get that lockdown, and it is going to get the sleep onto the Chloe as well. So all 4 monsters locked down, and Sierra gets nuked down by that Molong.
The revenge out of Sierra, but not getting much done. At this point, Diego is definitely getting flashbacks to yesterday. Gani Hathor looking really strong right now. The reset coming out will buy even more time for YODAYO.
Yeah, it looked okay in the beginning, but Diego wasn't able to find the right opportunity to get a crushing blow against YODAYO. And now YODAYO has the lead, has so much control, so much protection as well to continue this game.
At this point, Bison, even if he gets the turns, the Psycho Crusher cannot get any value because YODAYO is always protected by Freeian's immunity. Danny with the Ventilate, he can also get more immunity, more CC, more whatever YODAYO chooses.
Yeah, you can just see it coming. The writing's on the wall. And you see the M-Bison just trying to get some damage done, trying to cycle through. But here's the late promise again. Does get the sleep onto the Lulu.
Molong, once the armor break connects, that just multiplies damage by an insane amount. Of course, the Psycho Crusher is here now, finally, at a good opportunity. But the problem is, can Bison really still turn it around even at this point in the game?
Yeah, alone it looks a little tough, especially now with that Reckless Assault coming out. Molong's able to finish the job, and it's just Lulu left. So Diego decides to call the GG, and YODAYO will bring it back and tie the series 1-1.
YODAYO taking a page out of Mr. Chung's book. He has recognized that Gaia is seeming a bit weak towards the sleep debuffs. Ganny Hathor once again showing why this combo has lasted throughout history.
Yeah, that was a little rough. I mean, Diego perhaps seemingly trying to see if he can work around it just a bit more, but now it's do or die time. Both players on match point. Diego has to be aware that this can repeat itself, and he needs to have an answer ready. What will be the pre-bans? Last time we saw Oki and Chung Peng. In game 1, we saw Gianna and Molly. It's going to return to the same pre-bans.
Definitely both players are feeling comfortable on these pre-bans. Gianna Molly definitely helps to have Molly out because you don't need to deal with the glancing and the healing. Gianna, she's just overall a spectacular unit.
Molong going to be that first pick here for Diego.
Molong, definitely a strong first pick option for Diego, as time has shown again and again. Freeian and Daphnis, once again the pickup for Diego. There is great synergy between the 3 picks out of Diego right now.
Yeah, the Daphnis, of course, was banned out in game 2, so we'll see if it's going to be able to sneak its way through this time around. YODAYO looking at Sierra for himself here in game 3. Hasn't picked that monster yet in this series. What else can you consider here for YODAYO running down the clock? Wants to maybe revert on that. No, the Sierra going to come out, and then the Water Monkey King.
To be honest, Shobra, I can tell you as an ex-player what that moment was. YODAYO actually decided he doesn't like the Sierra after all, but he just didn't have enough time to think of something new. So he was forced to go with that Sierra pick. The Shihu is a very good way to deal with the Daphnis, which is why it came out. Diego going for more fire carries in that Kaki, so you can't help but wonder if you're Diego, are you scared of Shihu? And YODAYO, you just saw your opponent pick more fire. Do you want to try to bring in an extra water threat?
Yeah, having one more just to make sure that you have something to really fight against that Kaki and the Daphnis. Something for YODAYO to consider here for his last pick. We'll see what it is. It's actually going to be the Diana being rounded out for YODAYO.
Definitely a different switch up of elements. We were expecting the water, but instead we see Diana, which is weak to fire. So that just shows that YODAYO is definitely going to ban out one of the fire carries, which is the Kaki, and Cardinal gets banned out from Diego.
All right, well, Kaki now out. This is match point between G.Diego and YODAYO. The winner moves on in SWC 2021 in the APAC preliminaries, and the loser will be eliminated.
Such a fast Shihu, but for what? It's not like he's gonna set up the Sierra for the bomb, because the thing is, even though it's skill 3 strips and does a lot of damage, Escher is here now to give the turn over to Diego. We see the attack bar. The Daphnis is looking for the crit onto Diana. This could be the one punch.
Oh, and he gets it. Just eliminates the Diana. Peter, you were building that moment up, and it happened exactly as we feared. The Diana is now out of the game.
This is what happens when you give attack buff over to Daphnis. He starts doing insane damage. Now at this point, there is so much immunity on the side of Diego from the Fran. It is effectively making both Sierra and Shihu useless.
Yeah, Sierra, yeah, you can just tell not really having an option. Does try to get some extra damage down onto the Fran, but there's just the heal bringing her right back up. Same with Shihu, just trying to do what he can. It's not going to matter much just yet.
There's the Reckless, and at this point, it is going to be a one-man show for the Shihu on the side of YODAYO. Shihu is a unit that can do that technically, so the question is, will he?
Yeah, of course, there's a lot riding on that line. He does get 2 stuns.
2 stuns, definitely huge. Also, resisting the attack break. Shihu right now, he's looking to grab the turns. He needs to be cycling and grabbing more stuns.
Yup, Shihu is the hero that he's looking for YODAYO.
Perfect.
And there's the damage down onto the Daphnis.
That was an excellent execution out of YODAYO. Daphnis had his skill 3 Hellfire available, and that could have been a dead Shihu. But now at this point, I am seeing the solo angle from the Shihu. I am an absolute believer.
All right, Shihu, he gets another stun against the Fran as well. Escher trying to bring the Shihu down low enough. Molong doesn't have any of his skills just yet, so he's just trying to poke a little more damage. Now everyone tops back up for Diego.
Oh no, this is bad. Molong has Reckless Assault, so this could be the angle. The Shihu's gonna go down.
Here it
The
comes.
Reckless Assault.
And there he is, deleted once again. The Molong with the sustain from his teammates gets 2 Reckless Assaults throughout that game. Daphnis kicks it off with a nuke right at the beginning, and Diego will be able to secure this best of 3 and move on in the losers bracket in Group C of the APAC preliminaries.
Diego, he's brought back some of the old strategies. The attack buff Daphnis, once he landed the armor break, it was pretty clear from the get-go that he was going to get the kill, and what a clean execution.
Yeah, Diego really making sure that he knew when he needed to strike and who he needed to strike. I mean, that Diana doesn't get a single turn, and then the Molong as well. Reckless Assault right back into a heal. He's able to get another chance, stay alive just long enough. And you said it, Shihu had an angle there. It was getting a little tense, but the Molong was just too strong.
You know, I can't help but wonder, with the Shihu that fast, was it on Swift or was it on Violent? Because the thing is, if it was on Swift, that could have had a big impact on how the game played out. Had Shihu got a couple more turns and had the skill to stun, he could have delayed Molong from getting the Reckless Assault, but that didn't happen, and that's what happens when you let the panda loose.
Yeah, if Shihu was able, as you mentioned, if he was able to lock down that Molong in those final moments, maybe you have a chance, but he wasn't able to do so, and just so much damage coming out from Diego. So Diego will be taking the victory 2-1. It looked a little dicey after the tie game in set 2, but Diego proves himself once again, proves why he was at the finals last year at SWC 2020, and he's moving on to face off against MeowMeow.
MeowMeow, this guy, he is definitely no stranger to Diego. This is one of the players that MeowMeow was watching out for along with Frank, and it's going to be definitely a huge matchup.
Yep, this one's still a best of 3. We will have a best of 5 at the end of the day, as one of these players will face off against Mr. Chung, but still one more best of 3 before they can get there. And I don't know, both players have shown some flexibility, but Diego really starting to show the depth of his play here and just how much experience he has here in SWC.
I mean, he keeps using the Molong, and what can I say, right? Imagine letting the bear out of the zoo, out of the cages, you let him loose, bears rip humans to shreds.
That, you know what? You're right. There's no arguing against that. Bears do rip humans against, to shreds. Don't fight bears, ladies and gentlemen. Don't do that at home. Don't try to repeat that same mistake. And for all of you at home, we also have codes for you today at the broadcast. It's 2021 Liho SWC, Liho SWC, and that means hello. So Liho, Peter.
Liho to the viewers as well.
There you go. So Liho 2021 Liho SWC. Get your mana stones, get your summoning stones as well. As you continue to watch, we will have more matches left for today. We've got that best of 3 and then the best of 5 losers finals as well.
A lot of exciting things coming up within these matches. And the thing is, we know MeowMeow, he is a frequent user of Tianlang, but we haven't seen too much of Molong just yet. Whereas Diego, you know that when you give Diego the Molong, he has shown a lot of great performances. So I can't help but wonder, MeowMeow, if he's going to start using Molong, taking away some of Diego's core strategies.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big part of that draft, right? It's not just the pre-bans and the bans, but maybe trying to just take it away just to mitigate some of the opponent's game plan just a bit. A lot of attention now onto the Panda Warriors here in this future matchup, it looks like, between MeowMeow and G.Diego. I mean, this could really go either way, given what these players have shown us. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, it's G.Diego versus MeowMeow.
This is war. Lead, follow, or get out of the way. I'll show you who's boss. The world is now a real-time battlefield. Join the global battlefield. Summoner's War, Lost Centuria. Download now. This is war. Lead, follow, or get out of the way. I'll show you who's boss. The world is now a real-time battlefield. Join the global battlefield. Summoner's War, Lost Centuria. Download now.
It is time to challenge the world as we continue to find out who the second player will be from Group C in the APAC preliminaries to move on to the APAC Cup. Now we are looking at one more best of 3 before the losers finals, and this best of 3 will be between MeowMeow and G.Diego.
As we get further and further along the road of day 2 of Group C, we are starting to get a better read on the players so far. MeowMeow, he's giving me a vibe that he's not going to stick to just one playstyle. He's always going to try something new and bring what works best against specific opponents.
Yeah, MeowMeow's been able to adapt quite a bit. Continues to try to see if the Armio can work. It doesn't, but he's still able to adapt right back to secure that victory. But on the other side, it's going to be G.Diego, who's also seeming to bring something different here in day 2 of Group C.
Right, so we talked about this during the break time, Chobra. We are starting to see a lot more damage coming out from Diego, utilizing that Molong and Fran, pairing it with sometimes Mina, Daphnis, a variety of damage dealers.
Yeah, so Diego maybe learning a little bit from his mistakes yesterday, went for a bit of a kind of sustain, try to just live out as long as possible mode in day 1, decides, okay, here in Group C, what I gotta do is burn the enemy as fast as possible. Well, Diego isn't going to work against MeowMeow. And of course, MeowMeow also has been watching Diego's matches, I am sure. So we'll find out who gets the lead here in this best of 3. The loser is eliminated from SWC 2021. The winner moves on in Group C of the APAC preliminaries.
Lots of support for both players here, Diego and MeowMeow. Many fans are rooting on both of them to move up, but of course only one can. Now the Gianna Molong pre-ban means that the Molong is no longer a big threat from Diego.
Yeah, and I love this, right? Just identifying that the Molong seems to play such a crucial role in the damage comps that Diego's been bringing up, so it gets pre-banned out. Diego decides to secure the Fire M Bison, and then now MeowMeow looking to answer with the Lulu. That one's no big surprise. What else will he round things out with? We've got some common picks, of course, that we can consider here.
You know what's funny from MeowMeow was that as soon as he saw Diego lock in the Fire Bison, he just instantly tapped the Lulu without even a thought, as if he just wanted to rush for it. He knew that's what he wanted, but the Nephthys coming out was something of a more concern, especially due to her win rate.
Yeah, the win rate not so hot, but we talked about this before. MeowMeow, of course, another avid user of the Nephthys so far. It's been banned out in those earlier matches, but now it's able to get a spotlight here for MeowMeow. On the other side, Diego, I mean, you mentioned it, Peter, and I think you're right on track, continuing with a bit more damage as Kaki comes out on top of the Fran as well.
So basically, if you were to be in MeowMeow's position, you like the idea of bringing in more water threats, especially due to the elements, and Barbara is a good example of that water threat.
Yeah, there we go. So a little bit more water. The Barbara comes out, the Water Beast Rider for MeowMeow, and then the Molly as well.
Molly is a very, very good unit in terms of sustain, but not so very good in terms of win rate.
That timing was unfortunate. You were about to kind of hype us up on Molly and what she can do. The win rate not so good, but part of it's also we've just seen her.
Oh.
I mean, the fact that she's still being picked is, of course, very important. Now, on the other side, double oracles for Diego.
Sierra and Praha, we have seen this duo countless times and has brought many good results. So of course now we have MeowMeow reverting back to his good old friend Tianlang. Tianlang can put some counter to the oracles because their skill ones really want to be cycling their attack bars.
Okay, so all picks done. Now the ban's coming out. The Fran does get banned out against Diego. And then now the Tianlang being banned out against MeowMeow. The board is set for both players. MeowMeow versus G.Diego in the best of 3. This is game 1 in Group C of the APAC preliminaries.
What's scary for MeowMeow is that once the Barbara goes down or even dismounted, there is just so little threat coming out of MeowMeow at that point. His comp will become a lot more stationary. And of course, Praha just grabbing some extra sleeps.
Yep, just going for that extra sleep against that Nephthys, wants to keep her locked down. Of course, at the cost of going to sleep yourself. And now we see that focus onto the Barbara, seeing what it can do. But the Nephthys is able to wake right back up.
Right, so a crucial part that I haven't mentioned yet is that Praha missed her trip on 2 targets there, and the most crucial one was the Barbara. So now she's able to stay there, still mounted, able to utilize the armor break, and that is Kaki down.
That's why this Barbara is here.
Wow.
She was able to stay alive.
Wow!
And now, so much damage and another turn against
Wow!
Zero. That's Sierra down. 2 monsters down in an instant. What is this?
I said if MeowMeow gets dismounted on that Barbara, his team comp is stationary, but this is the opposite of stationary. Getting the attack bars and the additional hits, it allowed her to take out 2 units at once, getting the 2 crits onto win.
Oh my goodness. MeowMeow, this Barbara just paid all the value you ever wanted from that monster, really setting up the 2 kills with all that attack bar and the extra hits, as you mentioned, Peter, and now things are looking dicey for Diego.
Definitely dicey, super duper dicey, that I almost feel like it's hard for Diego to come back at this point. Barbara has the elemental advantage over the Bison, so only Praha is there for any consistent damage.
Yeah, and just look at that. The health bar continue to be topped off as well for Barbara. Really no answer here. Diego calls a GG, and MeowMeow with a strong start in this best of 3 as he takes the lead 1-0.
I'm sure that MeowMeow is giving his thumbs up to Barbara right now for resisting that strip out of Praha, because he's gotten so much work thanks to that one resist.
Yeah, the resist, able to keep that Barbara, able to attack, right, continue the assault, not get controlled any further, not get dismounted right off the bat, and MeowMeow takes the first win. Diego really needs to rack his brains right now. We know that he has a deep playbook. We know he knows how to go about Summoner's War right here in SWC. He wants to continue in SWC 2021. He wants to go back to the World Finals. He wants to win the championship and lift it up after being so close last year in SWC 2020.
And if you want to become the world finalist, you have to prove that with your back against the wall, in the most difficult position, that you can step up and rise to become the champion.
Yeah, and so now we see a bit of a change in the pre-bans, of course, off of that first game. Now, Akroma being focused down, we've seen that before against Diego. We know how much he likes to use that monster. Meanwhile, Neftis being pre-banned out away from MeowMeow.
But one thing we have to consider is that Diego has pretty much ignored Akroma for most of the games today. So now with the Molong available, we are expecting to see some of those bruisers coming back paired with the Panda Warrior.
Yep, there's the Molong, and the Kaki returns again. I mean, sure, Kaki got bursted down in that last game, but we know that the Onimusha provides so much value, and then now with the Molong as well, that's 2 bruisers you really have to respect.
Gianna is a good way to nullify some of the will runes on the side of Diego, looking to grab a lot of that first turn control. And historically, Diego has shown a lot of respect for Gianna. It has been banned in most of the matches.
Yeah, we'll see if Diego wants to stick with that ban. Of course, still more picks to consider here. Moore was the 3rd pick for MeowMeow. We've seen the Water Striker also providing that strip value and a lot of damage value as well for some of these players, depending on how they have their monsters set up. Now, Diego looking for more of his picks. The Fran returns once again on top of the Sierra as well.
We know Diego loves the Sierra. That thing is built on revenge, and the scene that we have seen before exactly was Moore got the first turn, he went for the strip, Sierra got a counter in, and she was able to sneak in that bomb on Moore. So definitely MeowMeow has to watch out for that now. The Poseidon coming in does mean that he can now utilize these 2 strippers to the fullest extent, but he may need another AoE unit.
Yeah, we're having that consideration right now, and it's going to be the Savannah coming out for MeowMeow as that last pick.
The AoE unit that we were looking for. Savannah is very strong in terms of damage from all her skills. And of course, Leo there does mean Savannah is effectively countered. But today we've seen a lot of players actually even opting to just not ban Leo and deal with it.
Yeah, I almost feel like that Leo was thrown in there to try to draw out that ban once again. Of course, with the Fran being there for Diego and so many of those other monsters being crucial, well, the Leo does take the ban. So we'll see if that pays off for MeowMeow. MeowMeow currently on match point.
This could be the match that brings it all for MeowMeow, but he could not reduce the attack bar of Fran. Now, Fran, with the immunity, does mean that Savannah and Poseidon don't have the setup they want. Things are looking very grim for MeowMeow at this point.
Yep, we see all those buffs right now, and there's the Reckless Assault right off the bat, brings the Savannah down very, very low.
Of course, there is the Lulu there with the skill 3, grabbing some sustain for Savannah. Critical Link, going to be used against the Sierra to strip away the attack buff, make sure that Moore doesn't get one-shotted by a ball.
Yeah, and now the Maelstrom looking to do a lot of damage and a lot of control as well.
That was a lot of damage, but what is that cocky damage?
Oh my gosh, the cocky now being able to prove himself. Last game he didn't get a chance at all, but now he's able to throw out the damage himself, and there's the Dragon Stance as well from the Molong side, and it's out.
The Dragon Stance into Armor Break. You see Molong getting so much value out of his turns right now. And of course the cocky with the bam, bam.
There you go, the Savannah gets eliminated, and there's the GG. MeowMeow knows it's over. So much of his composition gets eliminated in a couple hits from those bruisers, and Diego brings it right back with a victory in Game 2.
I feel like when we see Diego getting his hands onto the Molong, there's no stopping this guy today because he just has so much damage every time he's able to shut out his opponents.
Yeah, and he seems to be so fearless about using that Reckless Assault and using it in a turn where he knows it's not going to bite him back too hard. So Diego really proving his usage of that Molong. We'll see. Does it get let through this time in Game 3? In Game 1, it was pre-ban, so we'll see. MeowMeow, do you pre-ban it again in Game 3? Just one game left between these two players. There it is. We're returning to the same pre-bans as Game number 1.
Definitely Diego, he just wants to stay far clear of that Gianna. He has banned the last game, and once again just returning to the pre-ban as we said. And of course Chobra, we are both very happy to see that Molong pre-ban today.
Yeah, we've seen so much power out of that for Diego, so MeowMeow correctly identifying that. And now we're seeing the M-Bison and then the Lulu Neftis again. This is a repeat exactly of how the draft started off in Game number 1.
A repetition of match number 1 means that MeowMeow is the one feeling more comfortable. So Diego's the one that we are looking at for some switch-ups as we see pretty much the same thing again.
Yep, the Fran and Cocky as well. Still room for some switch-ups, but I mean, Diego better have another plan, but because it didn't work out so hot in Game number 1. The Barbara, does it get picked up again? I mean, MeowMeow also has to consider, I mean, what is Diego scheming here? He's not afraid. He still picks up the Barbara and the Molly, an exact repeat so far.
So the one big outlier of match number 1 was that Barbara did resist the strip from Praha. So in this match here, Diego, he needs to put up a stable stripper, but perhaps, or a staple damage that doesn't need some strips, because Sierra is a unit that needs Barbara to be off immunity to be landing those bombs.
Yeah, this is starting to look a little dicey, but there's the switch up we were looking for perhaps from Diego.
Now Edna has a huge multi-hit on that skill 3, the strip, and so it has such a good chance to strip the immunity off of Barbara. I am sure that Diego is absolutely certain of locking out the Barbara this game.
Okay, and then we're seeing the Fire Occult Girl come out, this time for MeowMeow. We're seeing a lot of these Occult Girls return here in Group C.
Rika is such a strong pick, especially into Diego's comp. We are seeing that Fran ban, of course, and Diego recognizing that, he takes out the Rika.
Okay, so the ban's now out for both sides. Diego brings out the Ethna as a potential answer against MeowMeow in a potential rematch of Game 1, and Ethna will be kicking things off for Diego in this last game.
You look at the speed tuning, Diego's very fast. You look at the Ethna, she got that extra turn for the Shatter, just getting that a little bit more of some slices, and now of course Kaki is here to go for a big slice.
Yep, does a lot of damage, but the heals are starting to chip back in on the side of MeowMeow from his supports.
The silence means Sierra does not have a bomb anymore. So now Lulu is able to buy more time with that skill 3.
Uh-oh, and now the Lulu, another turn. The Barbara waiting her turn as well. Things look a little scary, but now the M-Bison gets to go first.
We have seen this happen so many times when the opponent is sitting on full immunity. The Bison cannot do anything. So once again, Barbara has free reign. We've seen her damage, and she is going for the crit, going for the extra turn, and there's the skill 3.
Oh my gosh, she does the damage on the end and then finishes off the Cocky. This Barbara is insane.
So much damage, not afraid of critting onto the win, and you just see the immunity being topped up again by the Lulu. Edna, she's got the strip, but what can you do at this point with glancing?
Yeah, not gonna get much done, Peter. I mean, you called it, the glancing, not really able to be done at all. And there's the Psycho Crusher just trying to get something done, but doesn't even land anything on the 2 members that didn't have immunity.
It seems like MeowMeow's strategy of protecting Barbara has worked out great for him so far. Sierra finally getting the angle for the Fate of Destruction. He's gonna go for it anyways despite the attack break.
Yep, and now we're gonna get the damage and the stun as well onto the Barbara.
The Barbara trying to hang on for dear life, but she is going to get dismounted by the Bison. But the question is, at this point, does Sierra and Bison have what it takes to bring a comeback?
Yeah, I know. Oh, well, definitely not looking good after that, Peter.
The comeback is what Diego's looking for. Sierra getting herself out of that armor break is going to be very good, but the bombs do not connect.
The bombs just are not hitting today for all these Sierras across the board. And there's the heals, there's the immunity, there's the damage now coming out against Fire and Bison.
Barbara, when she dismounted, she does extra damage. She was able to utilize that to the fullest onto the Bison. Now it is truly a 1v4 as MeowMeow takes the win.
MeowMeow eliminates G.Diego in SWC 2021. G.Diego not able to continue on in the APAC preliminaries in Group C. MeowMeow will be moving on for another chance to try to take that second spot to the APAC Cup.
That was a very nice adaptation by MeowMeow, bringing in the Barbara against Sky as competition, recognizing that Kaki is super weak into the Barbara, and he has just done it twice, and it's worked both times.
So unfortunate. I mean, G.Diego tried to bring something different with the Ethna, but just wasn't able to secure it for himself. And as you mentioned, the Kaki not able to survive that one hit coming in from the Barber, just bursts him down from 100 to 0. MeowMeow takes a 2-1. G.Diego, unfortunately, will end this tragic run here in the APAC preliminaries for SWC 2021.
And in that third match specifically, I feel like if Sierra was faster, that could have got the job done. But for now, the bracket moves on. MeowMeow advances on to the loser's final to face off against Mr. Chung.
Okay, MeowMeow versus Mr. Chung. And Mr. Chung's probably sitting here like, well, I thought maybe I would get another rematch against Diego. I was able to beat him yesterday. But now MeowMeow's coming in with some new choices as well, new comps and new drafts. So Mr. Chung also maybe kind of racking his brain on how do I adapt to this now in this best of 5 against MeowMeow.
To be honest, if I was Mr. Chung, I would stick to the Mr. Sleep. The Cheetah and the Shane worked out fantastically. The Ganyu Hathor also works really well. They have proven themselves again today. So the main question I would say is more of how is MeowMeow going to deal with that comp? Because MeowMeow, he hasn't really brought too much damage so far.
Well, we'll see how it pans out. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, it's the best of 5 in the losers finals.
This is war. Lead, follow, or get out of the way. I'll show you who's boss. The world is now a real-time battlefield. Join the global battlefield. Summoner's War, Lost Centuria. Download now. This is war. Lead, follow, or get out of the way. I'll show you who's boss. The world is now a real-time battlefield. Join the global battlefield. Summoner's War, Lost Centuria. Download now.
left in Group C of the APAC preliminaries to move on to the APAC Cup. One best of 5 remaining for 2 players as they duke it out to see who will continue their run in SWC 2021 to challenge the world. And Peter, first up, it's going to be MeowMeow.
MeowMeow, the last hope for GOAT, my favorite guild. And now, of course, this guy, he has shown us a plethora of strategies, going back to some of that Molly Neftis, but switching it up, pairing it with the Barbara Rika.
Yeah, the Barbara and the Rika, the Barbara especially being brought out specifically against Diego's favoritism today for that cocky. So MeowMeow clearly able to adapt on the fly, being prepared for his opponents. He's gone through a gauntlet of matches to get to this point in the losers finals. Can he do it? Because his opponent will be none other than defending world champion, Mr. Chung.
Mr. Chung, he has shown us time and time again what he is made of, especially in the direction of CC. G.Diego, one of the main faces when it comes to that department.
Yeah, of course, Mr. Chung always picking up that G.Diego whenever he can, often pre-banned against him. And he, as you called him, Mr. Sleep, right? Mr. Chung's really been favoring that matchup, but he does get taken down yesterday by Frank, as Frank brought out just so much damage, able to ignore Mr. Chung ever even getting a turn. So MeowMeow surely saw that, and now both sides have to consider how will each other adapt. One best of 5 remaining for the final spot in Group C of the APAC preliminaries to move on to the APAC Cup here in SWC 2021.
Here we go, starting right off with the pre-bans. And one thing to consider between these players is that, of course, if you are sitting as MeowMeow, you want to be getting rid of that G.Diego. You don't want to get CC'd for days.
Yep, and then the Gianna going to be banned out by Mr. Chung on the right side as well. I mean, MeowMeow just took down G.Diego, the other finalist from SWC 2020. If he can do it again against Mr. Chung, he'll have taken down the 2 top players of SWC 2020 to move on to the APAC Cup this year as MeowMeow starts things off with the Fire and Bison.
Fire and Bison, a very strong pick overall throughout the SWC 2021 preliminaries. And of course, the Chungpong is going to be the trusty option for Mr. Chung, who loves CC, and Chungpong complements that so nicely.
Yeah, and pairing it with the Lulu as well for some extra insurance and safety. Now on the side of MeowMeow, we've seen that Neftis being heavily favored by MeowMeow himself. Will it be the lock-in? Yes, it will, as we see the Wincy Emperor as well.
I love the switch up from MeowMeow. We talked about this before, Chobra, that MeowMeow, his usual go-to strategy is playing for the turn 2, but he's got to switch it up now against Mr. Chung, because how can you turn 2 against a infinite CC?
Yeah, there you go. If you never really get your turn, then that turn 2 never comes. So MeowMeow looking to switch things up. The Nef and the Triton coming out for him. Now, Mr. Chung, yesterday in the winners finals, showed a lot of adaptation to trying to stay alive, and he brings back the Juno, and this time it's going to be paired up with the Okeanos as well for 2 fire units on the side of Mr. Chung.
Juno is known for being such a strong unit against Neftis because Neftis applies debuffs with all of her attacks, and Juno turns them into healing. So of course, seeing the double fire now out of Mr. Chung, MeowMeow can't help but think maybe water would be the good option, which is why he's hovering that Poseidon with the Moor.
Okay, going for the Moor as well. So 2 water units bringing in that strip for the Moor as well. And of course, we've seen what the Poseidon can do if the setup is there. Mr. Chung, now you have the last pick. What do you round out your composition with? We are sitting at about 10 seconds left on the clock here in Game 1 of this best of 5.
Another fire from Mr. Chung, the Vertihound. We have seen this unit counter so many times against all the AoEs, especially out of Triton.
Okay, well, going for that seeming interaction here, despite Vertihouse still being a fire unit for Mr. Chung. Now, considering the bans on both sides, both players really want to take the lead. The Moor going to be banned out by Mr. Chung, and then the Vertihouse gets taken out by MeowMeow.
I love the bans on both sides. They are absolutely some of the best bans you could make from both sides. And we are getting right in to the match number 1 of the losers finals.
Yep, a best of 5. This is game number 1. The winner moves on to the APAC Cup, and MeowMeow starts things off.
MeowMeow with the debuffs, looking for damage. Now keep in mind there's 2 big AoEs for the follow-up. Here is the Psycho Crusher, setting up some of the damage for the Poseidon. And now this is where we gotta pay attention to the Maelstrom. The damage!
Maelstrom wipes out almost everyone. Wipes out 2 monsters and the other 2 with a sliver. Everyone has been locked down, and Mr. Chung doesn't get a chance to do anything. MeowMeow finishes an instant game in this game number 1.
Huge proc from the Fire Bison. He went for the skill 2, but he just procced into skill 3, and that was all the damage that MeowMeow needed. Poseidon, he was just the finisher of Mr. Chung.
Holy cow, the setup into the proc, into the finisher. I mean, this was just smooth sailing for MeowMeow, and Mr. Chung, he's probably a little dazzled right now. I mean, just looking at all the damage they came through, and you gotta harken back to yesterday. This is how he lost in the winners finals yesterday as well. So much damage coming out, and he wasn't able to answer back.
Damage is definitely the bane of Mr. Chung. He's gotta be, sitting there now, scratching his head. He's gotta figure out a way to deal with all this damage, and one great way of doing that is taking out the Nephthys.
Well, the Nephthys does get taken out this time here in game 2. Of course, this time the Gianna being taken out by MeowMeow. Looks like perhaps we won't see any Giannas here in the losers finals. Reminder, this is a best of 5. And also a reminder for those who missed the announcement yesterday, the new monsters, of course, the Sky Surfer and Robo, not active here during the regional preliminaries. They will be available starting at the regional cups. So we'll have to wait just a little longer to see if they show up here in SWC 2021. But here we have Lulu being the first pick for Mr. Chung.
Lulu definitely a strong first pick as always in the current meta, and Sierra and Chungpeng coming out of MeowMeow. I do love it because Chungpeng is always such a strong unit if you let his skill 3 go through, and Sierra is damage that we want to see against Mr. Chung.
Yeah, so MeowMeow correctly identifying how he wants to play this matchup. Mr. Chung, we said it, he's the one that's now on his back foot. He needs to be the one to adapt, bring something new, show that he can survive against this onslaught of damage. He is still going to pick up that Chitan Dashang. Of course, he loves that monster, and now paired with the Oki as well.
Keep in mind that Chitan Dashang has a huge resistance leader. We know Mr. Chung loves playing that resistance game, so that leader skill is only going to complement that more. So if you are MeowMeow, you can't help but wonder, is it really safe to pick units that rely on accuracy?
That's a very good point. I mean, yesterday we saw Frank adapt a little differently from that. So this time MeowMeow, he's still going to go for that Poseidon and then the Moor as well.
The Poseidon feels a little bit early for me in this draft, to be honest, but it could work nonetheless. So I do like the attempt from MeowMeow. But the Chiwoo there for now, the Mr. Chung, he's potentially looking for turn 1. That's usually what that pick means, or at least getting the strip. But,
okay.
Huh.
Oh, Chiu and then Fran.
It's very mixed
Yeah.
because Chiwoo, he's just like a weird unit, and of course Fran, she is getting a little boost from the win rate today.
Yeah, a lot of it, I mean, this whole composition on the side of Mr. Chung, not one we've really seen all too often, especially, of course, Chitan Dashang kind of being more of a staple here for Mr. Chung. But we'll see what his thought process is behind this as we see the Triton returning as well for MeowMeow. Now, that one gets banned out, and then the Chiu banned out against Mr. Chung.
So if you go with Chiwoo grabbing that first turn, why do you go with Fran afterwards, right? Like, it's very confusing, but whatever the case, it happened. So now we have to face the match. MeowMeow is going for the full setup again, but the Nemesis Fran kicks in again. She's got the buff for the whole team. Of course, now Chungpeng has to be stripping with the skill 2. Oh!
And, oh, he gets 3, but not onto the Fran. The Maelstrom still comes out.
Oh! And the Fran we can see is so squishy. The reason why these units are so squishy is because they are ruined on Nemesis. The more they drop in HP, the more attack power they get. So it is a part of the strategy to have Fran there to just absorb one hit. Sierra landing the bomb is absolutely huge. Looking for the stun onto the Lulu, but it gets resisted!
It gets resisted. The Lulu survives, and the Fran barely as well. The group heal comes out from the Lulu and friends. And now we're looking at Mr. Chung surviving, looking for his window of revenge in game 2.
Chitan Dashang leader skill kicking in huge again for Mr. Chung. Of course, now Poseidon can finish off the Fran, but that doesn't change the core strategy of Mr. Chung. He's still got 2 very strong CC units and Lulu there to top everything off.
Yep, Lulu is perhaps the next target here. Does get silenced, but right now there's so much control coming out. It's all starting to begin for Mr. Chung, the sleeps, and now the Oki with the spear as well.
Okeanos definitely looking to set up more CC follow-up from the G.Diego. G.Diego is also saving up the skill 2. He can stun whenever he wants, also grabbing attack bar with that skill 2.
Oh, Okeanos, he's looking for it. He's just going for the damage right now onto the Chung Pong. The more,
It's
the
more
damage.
Yeah, some damage, some attack bar absorption, but not too much going for MeowMeow yet. As we see another one!
Oh my gosh, the Lulu able to get that extra turn, and now is able to heal themselves back up, and now the Rain of Stones, the damage and the stun, it's all coming together for Mr. Chung.
And now the all or nothing comes out. He grabs so many stuns, it's gonna give him all the attack bar he wants. Once again, G.Diego is sitting there with Giant Net.
Oh, and here it comes. It lands on all 3. They're starting to look so low, and this is not looking good for MeowMeow. He calls the GG, and Mr. Chung is able to tie it back up in game number 2.
Definitely showing a lot of strategy within that Fran, as we mentioned. The fact that she was able to cut in due to the Nemesis has bought him the time he needed. And of course, Chung Pong, if you cannot strip everything, if you cannot even land armor break, where is the follow-up? There's none.
Yeah, there just wasn't that availability there. So you called it, as we saw in the beginning. Mr. Chung really working things out with his setup, with his composition here in game number 2. He's able to survive enough. He's able to provide enough of that protection and the buffs so that his team can gain all the control he likes. Now back to game number 3. G.Diego, of course, gets pre-banned once again. Gianna as well. This is a best of 5, so not quite match point yet for either of these players.
No surprise in the pre-bans. And one thing to consider is that Fran, before today, she has been sitting very low in the win rate, probably on the low side of 40, but we saw the win rate earlier. It has boosted up to 44%, and it's just going higher and higher today. Such a strong pick of day 2.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of kind of focused usage of this Fran to great success, and now we'll see if it returns once again here in the losers finals. MeowMeow starts things off with Lulu this time around, skipping over the Fire and Bison. Just didn't want to deal with that going over potentially to Mr. Chung's side.
Ganymede. We know that Ganymede is a strong unit. Such good stats on his record. Of course, Praha also another unit with a flawless record.
Yeah, Praha already 5 wins and only 2 losses, and looks to potentially just be going better and better. We've seen the Praha used very well, especially here in Group C of the APAC preliminaries. Ganymede always going to be that ever so present threat, comboing with so many different monsters as we see the Nephthys return for MeowMeow.
Nephthys was a core strategy for MeowMeow in match number 1. It provided him the setup to get all the damage in the world he needed to take out Mr. Chung in 1 turn. So now Mr. Chung, recognizing what happened earlier on, he decides, I cannot play completely turn 2. I need to bring some speed of my own with my Chiwu.
Yeah, he goes for that Chiyu once again, and then the Okeanos. No big surprise on the Oki. The Chiyu continuing to be that pick for Mr. Chung to kind of bring up his speed. MeowMeow, how do you answer? Looking at more potentially returning to that composition for the 3rd time in a row. Now 5 seconds left for the last pick for MeowMeow. Looks like more will be secured, and then it's going to be the Triton once again.
So the problem now is that there is no Poseidon for MeowMeow anymore. He is severely lacking damage compared to his first draft. So Mr. Chung, his strategy is survive the onslaught of damage and then strike back twice as harder. So Mr. Chung definitely looking at some of those things happening for him. 10 seconds left for the last pick.
Yeah, Mr. Chung just considering his final options, wants to get the lead. It looks like the Vertihile is going to return from that first draft. Initially, it was banned. We'll see what the bans are here in game number 3.
I would ban Nephthys or the Chung Pong if I was Mr. Chung. And if I was MeowMeow, I would definitely be scared of the Vertihile.
Yep, there you go. The Vertihile gets banned out once again. And as you called it, the Nephthys this time being taken out away from MeowMeow. So MeowMeow looking a bit weaker than he did in game 1. Can he still make it work? This is a best of 5 in the losers finals in Group C of the APAC preliminaries.
And we have Chiwu grabbing the first turn for Mr. Chung. And the problem now is, if you do sleeve attack, it gives the attack bar over to Moore, trying to grab some of the strip and the attack bar absorption. Tries him with the follow-up, but Ganny cuts in.
Oh, Ganny's able to interrupt that flow right there. So while the strips all come through, Ganny's able to try to get some control of his own.
The resistance on the attack bar decrease out of the Chung Pong is so huge. It's going to buy MeowMeow so much time now, setting up the 2-turn silences and whatever control he can manage.
Yeah, these silences.
What?
Oh my gosh. What is going on in this match? They're just firing back and forth and really getting what they need.
How does Chiwu sleep a Lulu for 2 turns? I have not seen that happen in a long time. The glancing hit on Chumpong, getting great usage out for Mr. Chung. The armor break to the land, of course, tops everyone off.
Yep, and there's the sleep onto the Chumpong as well from the Praha.
Mr. Chung looking way more strong right now and confident compared to MeowMeow. His team comp has so much better synergy as the game goes on. He's got the Rain of Stones angle. The only problem is there is 2 water.
He goes for it, and he gets the stuns across the board.
So many stuns for the Okeanos. He is not afraid of the elemental disadvantage. And of course, the Chiwu, whenever he is landing his sleeps, this guy all of a sudden becomes a very useful pick.
Yeah, he's really turned things around for himself, and Mr. Chung looking very comfortable right now. Already eliminated the Chung Pong on the side of MeowMeow. Another Rain of Stones comes through, and another 2 stuns, locking out that Moore.
It seems right now that MeowMeow is desperate to get the turn on Lulu. But if Okeanos can continue to reset the Lulu, she doesn't have any heals.
Lulu just being completely kept on a leash by this Okeanos, and then by the Ganymede, not ever getting a chance to bring the team back to full health.
Mr. Chung is going to capitalize on those CC, take the win for himself, and strike back.
Mr. Chung now takes the lead 2-1 in this best of 5. This losers finals will determine who takes the 2nd seed to the APAC Cup from Group C in the APAC preliminaries for SWC 2021. The defending world champion still stays alive, now 1 game away from moving on.
Exactly. Now the pressure is on, higher than ever. And I must say, MeowMeow definitely misdrafted there because he took Lulu, but he still decided to go for the AoE control anyways, while lacking damage this time.
Yeah, it really felt like the priority. There's so much kind of tunnel visioning into that Lulu and taking that away from the Mr. Chung through a wrench in his own plans. So MeowMeow surely has to regain right now. Go back to the drawing board, take it step by step. Play the game plan that you have prepared against Mr. Chung. Mr. Chung happily takes the Lulu for himself this time on that first pick.
Mr. Chung, last time he got the pre-ban on Nephthys, he has won the match, so I'm sure he's feeling very comfortable right now with the flow of the draft.
Yeah, taking out that Nephthys away from MeowMeow seems to really stop him in his tracks so far in this losers finals. But MeowMeow, we've seen him adapt before. Surely he has more options, but what will be the correct one? You can tell he's really racking his brain right now to figure that out, and he brings out the Mo Long.
We talked about this earlier, that MeowMeow hasn't used Mo Long as much as his Tian Lang, but he's taking a page out of Diego's book, trying to look for some of that one-punch damage. But of course, the Chiton, the Sheng, Mr. Chung always makes sure to bring 2 resistance leaders.
Yeah, Mr. Chung is ready to just survive and put everyone back into nap time once again. So what's the answer here from MeowMeow? Looks like he's still going to pick up another Panda Warrior as well. It has done him real good so far here in Group C of the APAC preliminaries. And then the Leo.
I like the Leo. I wanted to see more bruisers out of MeowMeow based on the way he drafted so far. Bruisers are his only way to go, and he's also got to find a way to deal with the infinite Tsukuyomi.
Oh my gosh, and look at this.
Wow. The win rate.
4 wins, 2 losses, sitting at 66%, and Ganny Hathor return as a pair as well. I mean, this is Mr. Chung's dream right here.
We haven't seen Ganny Hathor as much in the 2021 APAC preliminaries, but whenever Hathor came out, she has left her mark.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, she has really left a mark, done some damage against the opponents. And okay, the Water Druid.
I really don't like
you
that
don't
pick,
like
Cobra.
it? Oh, I can really feel the disappointment there.
That Abellio doesn't bring anything against Gani Hathor. It doesn't bring any form of way to deal with the CC. So if you're MeowMeow, you have to ban the Gani because you just cannot let an infinite combo.
It's going to be the Hathor, though. I mean, there's still so many other options that Gani can work with. This looks a little dangerous, but we'll see how it works out. MeowMeow going for the HP leader as well, just trying to live through and dish out the damage every chance he gets. MR.CHUNG on match point to try to move on to the APAC Cup.
There's the Praha with the beautiful strips all across the board, and she's got the Daydream to set up some sleeps. And look at that.
Wow, sleeps across the board. Nap time begins here from MR.CHUNG's orders.
Of course, we have Cheetah and the Shang now, looking for a potential Giant's Net to push back the attack bar and also apply that attack speed slow.
And once again, the opponents of MR.CHUNG unable to do anything. MR.CHUNG has his pick on who he wants to focus. He's gonna go for the Molong first.
Now, the thing is, Gani is here, of course, to provide the skill 3 for Cheetah and Dashing whenever. There's also the Seal Magic, resetting cool time, pushing back attack bar. MR.CHUNG just looking to continue on this control.
This is very, very impressive coming out from MR.CHUNG. I mean, MeowMeow just not able to do anything. It's not even that he has a choice and they're looking rough. He doesn't have a single choice. Another stun coming out from Cheetah and Dashing. Not a single monster able to do anything. Abellio finally free.
So now there is a bit more reason coming out for the Abellio pick, right? Because it has gave him a tiny little boost in health bar, a tiny little boost in attack bar, but that's his main purpose. You just used your main weapon. So what do you do now if you get locked down again?
I mean, sure, MeowMeow surviving, but he's not able to get a chance to do any damage at all. This is starting to look like a war of attrition, but MR.CHUNG is no stranger to this world.
This is why the Abellio pick didn't make any sense, because I understand that MeowMeow's game plan is to just survive the CC and just counter back with heals, and as soon as he gets a turn, he wants to be getting the stuns out of the Tianlang. But how can you do that when you let Gani through and you let the Cheetah and Dasheng do this over and over again?
There's the net again, as you mentioned, and now the damage starting to rack up against MeowMeow's monsters. Sure, the heals are coming out ever so slightly, but it's starting to chip away and the wall is starting to fall, and another Daydream coming out as well, and everyone gets slept again.
MeowMeow, as you said, kept getting topped off by the Molly heal, which is why the game got dragged on this long even. But as the timer runs, the attack power increases, the HP decreases. It's only going to make Molly weaker while making the Cheetah and the Sheng stronger.
Yeah, we're really seeing the effects of MR.CHUNG. This is his specialty. This is why we've been calling him Mr. Sleep. His opponent's never able to move, and now the Seal Magic. The sleep's fallen off, but the attack bar control continues once again. Ventilate available once again for that net on Cheetah and Dasheng, and now it's Cheetah and Dasheng's turn again. Another Giant's net, and MeowMeow just unable to do anything.
You know, Chobra, what's funny to me is that I feel like we're just sitting on round one. Like, we just got into the game, there's not much going on. Everyone is topped off at full HP, and we are just seeing the same scene play out over and over again.
I mean, this is almost suffocating to watch. MeowMeow unable to do anything at all. I mean, we just see MR.CHUNG going at it again and again, and right now he's finding his time, right? He's chipping away damage, and you mentioned to Peter, as time goes on, it will start to rack up.
The reason why MeowMeow is staying in the Druid form on the Abellio is because he wants the passive heal every turn, trying to keep the Tianlang topped off. But the problem is, if you spam skill 1 with the Abellio, you don't have any damage. Just look at MR.CHUNG's team. Not a single scratch. There's the all or nothing, gets nothing. But of course, Pra is here as a backup.
Yeah, I mean, this is just repeat. You mentioned it, Peter. This is just on loop. I mean, this is deja vu again and again. Now that the health bar is low enough, we're seeing a little bit more attack, but more immunity onto Cheetah and Dasheng. The Ventilate's ready for whenever they want to start their cycle once again from the side of MR.CHUNG.
And he's going to use skill 1 again, I assume, to get more healing. He's not switching forms. That makes Cheetah and Dasheng get his Giant Net off with no problem.
Oh my goodness. Oh man, Tianlang finally free for one attack, but he's already so low. The death break onto the Cheetah and Dasheng.
Cheetah and Dasheng, he got enough attack bar there to get in another turn, but Dragon's Dance not being available means he's not going to get much impact off. Ventilate for Cheetah and Dasheng. Another Giant's Net.
Yeah, that is ready in the works. Prague gets another turn as well. That's it for Tianlong. And now G.Diego just looking at his picks. He has so many options on what he wants to do. Giant Net just to bring back all the attack bars as well.
I feel like this is the 2021 version of Infinite Tsukuyomi. Like, who needs Hathor when you got G.Diego? He's just doing much by himself.
Peter, this is so unfortunate, but this is just a slow tragedy. You can hear the fiddle playing in the background. The sad noises are coming out for MeowMeow, and Mr. Chung is just going through turn by turn, repeating everything until each monster goes down.
At this point, Chobra, we need to start hyping up 1K and 2K damages because we're not going to get any higher than that. The Praha coming out with 4.5K, Ganyan with the 3,000. Wow, huge damage.
That's more than we've seen before in that game, and there you have it. Mr. Chung will bring the victory. He wins 3-1 with his infinite sleep combos. Coming out with his G.Diego, he will be moving on to try to defend his championship title as he goes to the APAC Cup.
Definitely, we have seen Mr. Chung come in with this game plan, and he did not falter at any point. Always going back to his trusty old CC comp, and Mr. Chung shows that even in 2021, you don't need damage, just go for the sleeps.
Oh my goodness, you gotta feel for MeowMeow, not able to do anything in that game 4, but Mr. Chung, I mean, he got away free in that draft. He had so many tools to work with that he was able to just cycle through over and over and over again.
Well, we are seeing Mr. Chung now with that response of the 3-2-1. He was the victim of that yesterday on the side of winning only once, but now he's back with some karma.
Yep, Mr. Chung does get his own 3-1 victory in this best of 5, and he will be moving on alongside Frank from Group C to the APAC Cup. Mr. Chung continues his run to see if he can defend his title for the first time ever, trying to go for a second consecutive win in SWC.
What a run it has been so far, Chobra. We see so many different groups having played out already, but we cannot forget that Group D is coming.
Yeah, we still have another group, ladies and gentlemen, so don't forget it. Next weekend, we'll still have more matches for you. 2 slots left for the APAC Cup. 2 players from that list of 8 will be moving on to the APAC Cup. So I'm excited to continue seeing how all these groups differ, because every weekend has been a treat.
Every weekend, just as you said, Chobra, we have seen just so many different things, and I feel like some of my most favorite memories so far have to be Panda Warriors, the Wind Sniper, on Musha. I can go on and on.
Yeah, we've really had those highlight moments like you mentioned. Some of it a little more standard, but some of it we've had those pocket picks. The Wind Sniper definitely from this weekend. It really stands out. But for everyone at home, of course, we have another gift for you guys. We have another code. It's going to be SWC2021, and that kind of means like 2 thumbs up, or this is the best. So
that's actually the post that most players were having. They were going
there
with
you
this
go. SWC Tansan. That's what they were going for.
Hey,
they just knew. They predicted the code. The players knew ahead of time. Well, there you go. Collect your energy, collect your summoning stones. Make sure you secure that code. And of course, thank you so much for joining us here, as this has been another great weekend of the APAC preliminaries.
Absolutely. I feel like this weekend has been more about, I would say, just adapting to your opponent, because we haven't seen one linear synergy at all. Just even players like Diego coming in, right? On the first day, he tried to play a lot of the Josephine that we didn't like. Today, he switched it up to a lot more Fran. Speaking of Fran, right, that is one of the highlights of Group C. We've seen a lot of usage of double Nemesis Will Fran, making sure she is as squishy as she can be, right?
Yeah, we've seen the Fran today used more actively. In the past, she was kind of just like I guess I need some sustain, and Fran's pretty good. But now we're seeing the real use of Fran today with the buffs that she's able to bring for her teammates. So really interesting to see how things develop as we go from group to group. And now I'm excited for Group D next weekend, Peter.
Right, Group D, it's going to bring so much action to us. I remember from last year, there was just so much different meta, especially coming out from Group D.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that'll be next week. We return with more APAC preliminaries for SWC 2021. We'll see you then.